Spoilers of the Damned.
Hello and welcome to Spoilers of the Damned, episode number 39. Today we are going to be talking about David Fincher's Seven.
Yes.
Spelt with a 7. I guess, yeah.
Because it's cool.
I just can't see it as a V. I know it's supposed to look a bit like one side of a V, but I can't see it.
Let's take the V
Cheesy.
sideways. Make this part longer.
Basically, write a 7 and then say it's a V and call it a day.
But it kind of harkens back
Look,
to our very
wasn't
first
it the
episode
90s?
because Resident Evil 7 has got like a 7 in it.
Yeah, but it does it much smarter, doesn't
But
it?
yeah, albeit much more cleverly. Guys, well, actually, I'll talk about the podcast a little bit first off. We've actually had a couple of people liking our Facebook page, and our listens on SoundCloud are up to nearly 1,500 listens.
Fucking hell.
Yes.
What?
Now,
What are they doing?
I know.
You people are crazy.
Anything else? They could be doing anything else.
But aside from breaking the immersion and telling you that this episode will probably be coming out a little bit after we recorded it, I'm hoping to really pick up the pace with the releases so that we catch up a bit more, so that things that we talk about aren't ancient history by the time we get round to them in real life.
Yeah. Because there's one thing in particular I imagine we'll be talking about
Well, yes.
today. So
Definitely at least one thing we'll be talking about today that in a couple of months we'll probably, it will be old news at that point. But just a heads up that we are out of time and
out of place.
hopefully soon we will not be. Yeah.
Fucking
When you said
boiler.
out of time, I was like, we're done?
Yep, that's it. We're out of
It's
time.
been
So
2 minutes.
Anyway, thank you for coming to join us. My boiler has decided to join us just at the very end. It's time to
Your
cut this
boiler?
off, I think. You fucking boiler, fuck off.
no, the second you said that, I thought of Twin Peaks season 3.
It's Philip Jeffries, go away! Fucking kettle.
The boiler is talking. Guys, how have you been? Because it's actually, although these will be released fairly close together, it's been a couple of months for us since the last episode. So, been
It
up
has,
to anything
it's a
fun?
long time.
It's actually been Christmas while we've been away. So,
All the
And New
Christmas.
Year's. And most of January. Whatever that holiday would be. It's been real, man. I wanted to bring up something, and it's actually kind of horror related. I really got into a new band. They're not even new. They're new to me. They're not new, but it's called Ghost or Ghost BC.
yeah, I love Ghost.
Yeah, I mentioned them on Facebook, and I keep finding new fun things about them that I really like, and it's like it's super cool, except for the whole Satanism thing. But they
Yeah, but I think a lot of that is kind of played, not for laughs, but kind of, it's all about the dramatic kind ofness of it.
yeah.
Just to ignore the
Like
the live sacrifices, but it's fine.
Yeah, one person is gonna die at every show. No, but at first I was like, that's kind of hokey. That's almost like edgy, like Marilyn Manson kind of, edgy. But then I thought, this is kind of like a modern version of Kiss.
Yeah, it's
You
all
know?
about the kind of the drama. It's theatrical. My favorite thing,
Yeah.
one of my favorite things about Ghost, apart from the music, is that when they refer to gigs on their Facebook page, they say that Ghost will be haunting, and then the name of the place.
Okay, that's
Join
Yeah.
us for this Sunday's ritual at Amphitheatre.
Yeah,
that's cool. They go
exactly.
all in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they just, I don't know, it's something about, I mean, this isn't true for everything that does something like this, but it's something about their, absolute 100%, 110% confidence on stage, even though they're wearing masks and stuff. But it takes a lot of gumption just to put masks on, if you ask me.
Yeah.
This
dress
is
up
who I
silly.
am, except not really, because once somebody hates your mask, they hate a lot of you. They hate, everything that you've projected to them on purpose, with all your designs and everything, that's you. And if they don't like it, they hate you.
That's the thing, is,
You
you could have the best costume in the world, but if you go on there with absolutely no confidence at all, you just look fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, the fuck is this guy?
So, but I think and it's interesting because he has 4 or 5 different stage personas, and I think they've all just sort of been retirements of
Different
ideas,
incarnations
but
that
he's-
kind of go with album cycles.
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
And-
exactly. As he gets going on, he has Papa Emeritus the First. That's his Pope outfit with the skull face paint and the hat and everything, right? And it's like, what the fuck are these guys doing?
I bet that's gone down well in some areas of America.
I think there were three of those, and now there's one called Cardinal Copia.
Cardinal Copia. See, that's a new one. I
latest
figured
album,
that's probably what's going on.
Prequel is Cardinal Copia.
Yeah. It's like every album has like a different main like lead, and like the last one I heard was Papa Nihil, as in like annihilation or nihilism.
Wow. Okay.
And that was basically what Cardinal Copia would be, except Matt's just laughing about
That's
it.
so
Like, what
cool.
the fuck? Yeah, but except like because you can see like on stage he's got like the Pope outfit and the skull face paint, and then the second incarnation is still the Pope outfit but better face paint. Like he just has like a better routine now, and he's like, fuck it, it's a new character. And then the third one is again the same thing but even like clearer, more concise skull face paint or whatever. And then the fourth one where he's like, fuck the Pope outfit, which is where he's Papa Nihil, and he wears like a really sharp black suit, and he has like an upside down cross right here, but it's like a circle right here, like a G for Ghost, which is the name of the band, and all of the emblemation and all the nice decorations and stuff there.
Matt's
and
pulling
really,
faces. Maybe I don't want to steal your thunder, Chris. You might be about to describe what I'm about to describe.
But what I really like is like the band itself. They are the Nameless Ghouls.
Oh yeah,
and they have these really sharp like demon masks.
They all wear masks.
They're so cool.
And
what are you gonna
certain
say?
famous musicians have been rumored to have played in the band using these masks to hide their identity, like Dave Grohl and things like that.
That's really
No,
cool.
the thing I was going to say is that they have an official, legally licensed ghost dildo that you can buy, and it's got his face in it.
It's Ghost Spacey.
Yeah, well, at the risk of ruining your search history, if you write ghost dildo into Google or your search engine of choice,
that's what Incognito's for.
yeah, you'll find it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious.
You're gonna find this out.
Oh my fucking god, that's amazing.
Yeah. But the other thing,
the least sexy thing ever.
I don't know if they've done it for every album they've done, but the most recent one, they've had videos on YouTube where they describe the whole kind of process of the last Papa being like either excommunicated or put to rest, and the new one being anointed.
Yeah.
And it's like wrestling in that they have these kind of like backstage introductory videos where it's like, oh, this is the new Papa, and it's like done with, it's all tongue in cheek, very funny.
I mean, like when I was reading about them on Wikipedia, like it started out the lead singer had like some idea for a new song in his head, and then he got with a friend and he put that together, and he said something like, we don't look like we would make this kind of music, so we're gonna have to do something, right? And they were putting together this band, and he was trying to get anybody else to be the lead singer but him, because he wanted to just play guitar. He was just a guitar player. And everyone's kind of like, nah, man, we're not down with the whole Satanism thing.
They were right to do it though, because I'm pretty sure he writes most of the music, and his voice is kind of like synonymous with the sound now. I can't imagine anyone else.
Yeah, he's definitely married himself to the band. And that's another cool thing though about like the ghouls is that they could literally be anybody. You don't ever have to worry about like, Dave Grohl isn't going to be on the drums today. I can't run the show. Yeah. You can get somebody else. Just put the mask on, and then they can run the show as long as they sound similar. It fits. Like he's basically the star of his own project, and I don't know. I've been really, really digging them.
And they play with a lot of the iconography as well of horror movies and classic, like golden age horror movies, like the song Square Hammer. The video for that is about him starring in an old silent movie. Yeah, Chris knows where it's at.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's a really good song. But the music video is also great because it plays into that whole 1920s, Nosferatu kind of like cinema stuff. So it uses all the horror iconography and stuff like that.
Right. And like, there's a part in that video where like the 1920s version, like the Papa Nihil character is like coming out of the screen with his big hand or whatever, and then turns into bats and
so cool.
flies through. But then you have Papa Nihil in the audience, like what the hell? He's like looking around, like, oh no, something is happening, you know. And he's got like this funny little voice that he uses, but he's doing this, and then they add CGI on top, so it's kind of like that bad movie, like that Birdemic. Yeah, it's like that kind of effect. He's like. You know, his bats are flying around him. His band is acting better than he is.
and I will say as well that the music is really good, because with all this kind of theatrics, you can think, well, they're doing that because the music isn't great, but the music is really good on its own as well.
It probably fell apart. The music wasn't
Black
good.
Sabbath meets. Well, it depends on each album.
You can't define it.
The latest album's got lots more kind of 80s style on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Like you can see Pink Floyd influences. You can see like Black Sabbath influences. You can see there's like even a country style song called Missionary Man. There's like I mean they are not afraid to do anything they want with whatever they want to do, so long as it involves Satan.
I believe because you're talking about I can't remember. Is it the Pope Star EP that Missionary Man is on?
Yeah.
And because I'm checking my phone. And they do covers as well, because the latest album had a cover of "It's a Sin" by the Pet Shop Boys, it's one of those things that sounds better than the original.
Yeah,
it's always difficult.
They've even done a cover of an ABBA song.
Yes, and Beatles songs as well.
I'm
pretty
saying,
sure
like,
they
don't know any boundaries.
I'm pretty sure they did. Here
Through
Comes
Satan,
the Sun.
they can achieve anything.
And you guys know "Here Comes the Sun," right? It's all happy and shiny.
Yeah.
They turned it into a ghost song. So
yeah. So like over the last like 2 or 3 weeks, I kept thinking, do I like this band? Like the music is good, but is it better than the metal that I already have? Do I really want to invest in another band? And so on and so forth. Then I was listening to a song called Miasma, Miasma, and like 3.5 minutes into it, it's a metal instrumental song with a saxophone. And I was like, a saxophone.
Yep.
A saxophone.
Sold.
And it's like, it's almost like there's a metal band playing metal music without the lyrics or whatever, and then like Deadpool strolls in with a saxophone and then kills it. That's what it feels like.
I'm not entirely sure as well, but I'm pretty sure that song Miasma has got like a load of riffs hidden in it from other things, and it's got the riff for Beat It, like the it's like hidden in the music, like it's there, but it's in a different key or something.
Yeah. So like, and it's like there's the music, right? And then there's sometimes like there's the lyrics, like Square Hammer, for example. Like the chorus is like, "Are you on the square? Are you on the level? Are you ready to kneel right here now before the devil?" It's like, it's clever. I was like, yeah, I am now. I wasn't before, but bring me to hell. Let's go.
Come on, Satan, let's rock out. And let music in heaven, it'd be boring.
But I didn't know about them until like last week. I heard one song on the radio, the local radio here. Yeah. And it's like, it's Swedish band, right? I believe it's Swedish.
Somewhere like that, where most of those bands come from.
Yeah. It's like Guar Swedish, I think, aren't they? Or like Norwegian or something.
And like, I live in Tennessee, right? And these guys have been trying to record in Nashville. And they had problems recording in Nashville because they needed choral singers that would sing Satan lyrics, which is kind of hard to come by in Nashville, apparently.
Really?
And then they have, I just found out today, or like a few days ago on their YouTube page, they have 3 shows in Tennessee that I could go to. And I'm like, holy crap, that's so cool.
They played Sold Out Royal Albert Hall last year. I thought about going, but I already go to too many gigs. And they're playing with Metallica this year in Twickenham Stadium. And my friend Jay, who's a big Metallica nut, we're thinking about it because Ghost is support, and that's the kind of the swaying factor, but we're still thinking about it.
Yeah.
But they are very good bands.
So yeah, they are, like, as a band, a defined band experience, they are a great band. They're not just some guys playing music, which is also still good. It's just these guys have personified their music, and they like express it, theatricals, like everything.
It's a proper show.
Like,
it's not just the music. It's a proper full-on show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like I wouldn't go to a concert at all. I mean, unless it was something super great. But for the most part, like concerts for me are not attractive because I can just like listen to the CD at home while doing something else and not paying for a ticket or spending the time, all that kind of stuff.
People. I ain't got the patience for that.
But a ghost show, I would like. I don't even like makeup, but I would put on some face makeup and go to a ghost show. I think I would totally like pop a Nihil number 6 or something on my face and walk in there like, "What's up, everybody?"
Everybody.
Booga booga.
I have to say I was wrong about Guar. Before we always get that one person.
I would guess Finnish. Are they Finnish?
No, the Guar. They came from Virginia. I'm thinking of a different group, and I can't remember what they're called.
Are you thinking of Lordi?
Oh.
Yeah,
who won the Eurovision Song Contest. They're Finnish, I think.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one I'm thinking. Yes, that's the one I'm thinking.
To be fair, there are a lot of metal acts with makeup that with prosthetics that you could get mixed up with. Lots of them.
Yeah.
My new favorite
look the same.
My new favorite is called Nekrogoblikon. I don't know if you know of Nekrogoblikon, like goblin in the middle.
Nekrogoblikon.
They have some good songs. They have a song which is like the music video. They have this little guy. Well, I don't think he plays any instruments. They have one guy in the band who just dresses up as a goblin every show, and just stands at the front and dances and moves around.
Wasn't there, there's a guy like that in isn't there like 2 of them in Slipknot that don't actually play any instruments? They just like beat each other up on stage, but they used to.
What?
Yeah, because they have the drummer and then
they
have like a different drummer who just like hits like cans and stuff.
Yeah, and just dances around like a lunatic. But that sounds much better because it's like a proper like character. He dresses up like a goblin. Is he like really small as well?
I think he is a bit small. Although maybe all the stuff that they filmed kind of shows him as small because,
yeah, or like he runs around on his knees.
But
shouldn't really run around your knees, Matt. Shut the fuck up.
The kind of melodic death metal.
Oh, melodic death metal.
Yeah, that's my wheelhouse. Melodic death metal.
Sorry, kids next door being loud.
Fuck off. Sure, it's not the boiler. Matt, have you been
spoken about this? Ooh, no, it's not the boiler.
But yeah, that's all I've got to say about that band. I mean, it was so perfect for the cast because it's like kooky and weird and horror related in a way because they're like, do you like eating flesh? Do you like drinking blood? On stage. That is good. Our next song has kind of a gastronomical theme.
So we're
going to play it for you now. And it's like Body and Blood or whatever. And it's talking about like eating the body and drinking the blood of Christ, as you would in a Catholic church or something like that, like the wafer and the wine. But it's like it was one of those mistaken lyric things too, because I thought for sure he was saying in the song "Serve me up a side of the Son of God," which was a really cool lyric to me, but it was actually like "Serve me up," serving the Messiah, Son of God. I was like, oh, I like my lyric better.
Eating Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet they go down.
Can I get
really
some
well
Son of God with that? So, anyway, I'll leave the floor to somebody else now.
Shall I go?
Yeah.
Go.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh God. What haven't I been up to? Lots of horror-related stuff. Mainly Christmas because that's always terrifying. No.
It is.
It is a scary time of the year. That's why I do most of my shopping online because I don't have to go out because I hate Christmas shopping because people are too slow.
But then somebody else has to like deliver all your packages to you, and it's like I do the same thing, but it's like I'm adding to like the gears and cogs of the things I don't like about Christmas, being the consumerism.
Well,
and the desperate and anyway. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I do. I say that I did go out shopping as well, but some of the more precise things that I want, I will order online because I can guarantee you can get them. And also, and also I just hate Christmas shopping because I just hate shopping when it's like super busy because people are just so slow, and especially at Christmas they're just so stupid. And they'll do this.
Can you imagine if everyone shopped to our specifications? We're moving like fast-moving zombies throughout the mall, just running from place to place.
It's horrible. Like you get these people that it happens a lot of time, but they're always just like staring at their phone like this and moving really slowly. or you even get the people that are right in front of you that just stop dead.
Mm.
And you need
like
you need to
4
walk
of
into them, and you're the arsehole. Obviously, even though it's their fault. But
Oh, don't get me started on people who walk out of shops and then immediately they're checking their receipt or whatever, and they just stand in the doorway of the shop.
oh god.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Although something, speaking of idiots, like something really funny happened on the way home from work this week. And it's another pet peeve of mine is obviously everyone's trying to get to the connecting train. And there's not a lot of space between me and the person in front, and we're both moving at the same pace. And I always like to keep like a little bit of distance in front of them just in case something like this happens. This guy tried to squeeze in between the two of us, like running across really fast. Obviously he's done that. I have no time to react, and I'm already like mid-stride. And I couldn't get my foot out of the way, and I trod on his foot, and his shoe came off. And he had to just like stop there, like desperately trying to get his shoe back on. I thought it was really funny. Like, fuck you. And he was nearly late for his train as well. I was like, small victories, Matt. Small victories. Take them. But no, I've gone off track. So yeah, Christmas was Christmas. What else? Oh, speaking of Christmas, our lovely host here, Mr. Thomas Jones, bought for me for Christmas because he's awesome like that, and he really didn't have to.
I'm just going to add before Matt continues, Chris, you're not getting a Christmas present because little birdie tells me you might be getting married this year, so I thought I'd just consolidate all your presents into one wedding present. So.
Oh, he's lying. He's giving you nothing.
Yes.
No,
no, that's
that'll
fine
keep
too.
him quiet.
I'm
for
the
6
favourite.
months.
I'm the favourite. It's me. No,
I was in the area, so I dropped it off to Matt.
Yeah, I understand.
And I really appreciate it. You really, you didn't have to do it, but it was awesome. It was the Awesome People Arrow video. Did a box set of all five Phantasm movies. And I used to be. I'm a big fan of the Phantasm series, even though there's only like 2 or 3 movies I like. But it's a lovely little box set with some, again, just like everything with Arrow video, all the new artwork is absolutely gorgeous and well made. Comes with a little sphere as well, and I went to watch through them, and I think it might have been Boxing Day. It might have been Boxing Day. It was one day, and me and my partner just watched 1 to 5. We went through absolutely all of them, and then finished our evening with Bubba Hotep, which was made by. It was directed by Don Coscarelli, who directed Phantasms 1 to 4. And if neither of you have seen Bubba Hotep, it's awesome. It's Bruce Campbell as Elvis in a retirement home, and the whole premise is that Elvis was getting sick and tired of being in the public eye constantly, so he wanted to just get away and wanted to break, so he hired an impersonator. Turns out the impersonator had a dodgy heart, something like that, and has a heart attack, so everyone thinks that he is the fake Elvis because he lost the contract in, I think it's his trailer home explodes and he loses the contract and he only had 1 copy. So he's Elvis, and Ossie Davis, who passed away a few years ago, believes that he is John F. Kennedy, even though he's black, and it's brought to his attention multiple times, like, but you're black. And he says, the CIA dyed me this colour. I'm working with
like
sand up here. CIA's got my brain in the jar. So they have to tackle down a cowboy mummy that's draining the souls from the residents of this retirement home. It's brilliant. But no, we watched Phantasms 1 to 5. The 4K like HD restoration of Phantasm 1 is just insane. Like, the quality of the picture is absolutely ridiculous, and it's amazing the fact that anyone would try and do that to a strange, surreal horror film from the late 70s. But that's J.J. Abrams, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking do that. And yeah, that looked great. Phantasm 2 doesn't hold up well at all. But then again, it was always like the more traditional Hollywood sequel where there has to be a love interest. This has to happen.
Yeah.
There has to be like action scenes. There has to be this. There has to be that. This. We had to replace the main actor because we wanted someone prettier, even though the actor they got, who was okay, looked odd, and my girlfriend kept saying how ugly he was. So it didn't work. Phantasm 3, I used to hate, and we were watching it and I realised it's actually the second best one in the series. 4's okay. 5, I'm glad they made it. I think it's one of the nicest things I can say about it. 5 was it used lots of elements from different shorts they made, because originally they were going to make like a web series following the exploits of one of the characters, and they didn't end up doing that, so they just kind of like threw everything together into like one long movie. And to be fair, the framing device is really good, where it follows one of the characters, and because it's all about like different realities and that. Because I don't really want to go too far into Phantasm, because we'll probably cover it on the podcast at some point. But one of the characters, it's this whole thing. He's at like it's not a mental home, but it's like a mentally challenged, that type of thing. And he's got like onset Alzheimer's or something like that, and it makes you question whether anything that's happened is actually real, whether he's crazy.
Oh, okay.
Or if this is like some kind of like other reality, and it's that element of it's good, but it's really amateurish. But there's good things. But yeah, we watched all of those. And in terms of other horror things, I haven't played the Resident Evil 2 demo because I just want to stay away from everything until it comes out on. It will be next Friday. Dating the podcast.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's good, because I definitely think there will be a pre-Resident Evil 2 podcast, which is this one, and a post one, which will be the next one. So.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna complete the shit out of that.
I'm not even sure I want to play it.
I'm so excited, but
like I mean, when I think about RE7, I really wasn't trying to play that game because I didn't like first-person horror, all the like Outlast and all the new modern FPS horror games that came out. I've never been on board with any of that stuff. But it's like, it's Resident Evil. It's got to be somewhat good, and it turned out to be okay.
Yeah.
Even though in retrospect, it's like this thing was just a dumpster fire for plot. Though it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You can't really think about it much. Though I believe speedrunner Carcinogen SDA posted on Twitter a long plot analysis that kind of strings everything together in his mind, and I think that's kind of interesting. Okay. Kind of like President Evil did in Silent Hill, on the Silent Hill forum a long time ago. But and then it's nice that somebody out there really likes the game enough that they're going to do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But anyway, point is, RE2, that was like my first horror title. Not the one coming out, obviously, the one in the past, in the PlayStation 1. I'm from the future.
I played it years ago.
And like that, like, it scared me a lot, and I ended up listening to Rammstein while playing it on mute, so I could just play the game part of it and not be set up for any of the jump scares or whatever. Just like, oh, dogs came through the window, plow, plow, plow. That didn't scare me at all because I didn't hear the burn, violin stings of it all, and I started speedrunning it and that kind of thing. So now if I were to play RE2 that's coming out soon, it's like seeing an old flame from high school, but she's like way better off than I am, and I'm intimidated.
It's like, you've improved so much, and
like, what are you, like the president of the United States of America?
Yes.
And I am a factory worker. I'm like, oh shit, we aren't even on the same level at all. You're like, and I don't have enough camera space for the gap.
To be fair, she's had some work done in the last couple of years.
She's not looking her age, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
But no, so. I mean, I'm genuinely looking forward to it. I mean, they've taken their time to make it, which is something. And from what I've seen, it visually looks gorgeous. I mean, 7 looked really good as well. 7 looks very good in VR as well. But yeah, I've stayed away from like any kind of gameplay or anything mainly because I'm so excited by it. I already know I'm going to play it, so there's like no reason for me to like tease myself, because I just like to. I mean, I understand why people
for it.
will do it. I totally get that, but I'd rather like going completely blind and I can just boom go.
There's guns in the game. Spoiler.
Yeah. Damn it! Oh, it's ruined. I'm not going to buy it now. But also, I think it's because if the demo came out before Christmas, like December or November, I might be more inclined to have tried it. But I think because it's come out like 2 weeks before the main release, I almost feel like there's no point for me. Like, yeah, it comes out soon, I can wait. And it helps that I've been playing through lots of other stuff as well. I think that helps me playing Spider-Man on PS4, which is just fantastic. But I've instead of playing it, I found a couple of like fan-made Resident Evil games instead. One of them's one of them's a mod Resident Evil 2 called Resident Evil 2 Destiny, which is incredibly impressive, and another one I found on Game Jolts, which is called Resident Evil Crossfire, which has kind of been made from scratch.
Wow.
But it uses animations from the remake, like Resident Evil 1 remake. It's got whole new 3D environments and all that jazz. And I've got it basically scripted. I've got all the footage recorded, and I'm just trying to get it all edited and put together before next week, before Friday next week, because the way it's scripted as well. If I can't get it out before then I'll just have to rewrite it.
Like, get out a board and surf it.
Yeah, it's like I just want it out, and it might pass people over for a couple of days. But in terms of horror, that's about it. I can't think of anything else. Except I watched a piece of shit on Netflix earlier called I.O.
Yes.
Which was fucking awful. It made me genuinely angry at the end.
Can I just say, for the
point.
purposes of the listeners who aren't watching the video, Chris just spelled out I.O., but because his camera is mirrored, he spelled out Oi.
Oi!
Oi! That's the British version.
There we go.
That's the British knockoff. Oi! It's the second moon near Jupiter. I don't know which moon is. I.O. Is a pretentious piece of shit that has no right to it has no right to go for the themes it went for. It's so ham-fisted and the thing is, like, if I'm not enjoying a movie, I start making fun of it. And towards the end, there's this whole thing, like, they keep bringing up mythology and biblical stuff because the main character's like obsessed with it for reasons because they want it to be a bit wanky. Look at us, we're intelligent. And I joked and basically called the ending, and then it happened.
Okay.
And I pointed at the screen and shouted, "Fuck you." And it's been so long since a movie has made me that angry that I have sworn at it. The last time I can... There's probably been a few, but the one I really remember was at the cinema when I saw Godzilla and I stood up and said, "Fuck off." That's because they kept bait and switching us. But no, it's... I mean, I can't really spoil it because it goes into too much, but it was so, like, poorly handled and, like, bashing you over the head. And the worst thing was, it was boring. It was advertised as a sci-fi drama, and it kind of has that you know how in my headphones just came off. You know, in Interstellar, there's the that whole crisis that they don't really ever establish exactly what it is. It's going, you just know, like, vegetation is dying and whatnot. It's kind of similar. They give you a bit more to go in this. That like, the atmosphere is changing, so bees are dying, so nothing's growing, and there's all that. But they never really go far enough with it, and they never really tell you how much time's passed, because they established that the human race sent off like hundreds of rockets to go towards Jupiter because they're going to go to like the moon, which is Io. And so that's all great, but then they never really say. They never tell you what year it is, and they never tell how much time's passed because the main character's like in her 20s, but she can't remember what life used to be like, and it's all and it's just so boring. It's so boring. It's an hour and a half and it felt like 2.5 hours, and it's got Falcon in it from Avengers. Like, he wanted to die. He's like, I could be saving the world with Captain America. The protagonist, I can't remember the actress's name, is just awful. She's just like, again, like my partner was just commenting just how boring she was. She's like, she's boring. I don't care. She's boring. She's blank.
It looked expensive.
It looked what? Sorry?
The movie looked expensive. Are the effects good? No. Okay.
It's cheap as fuck.
I literally saw about 3 seconds of it autoplay on Netflix before I scrolled down. So.
Did it show a space station?
No, it just showed it showed Falcon from Avengers and some blue planety sphere-y things, and then I was gone.
Yeah, basically all the humans, most of the humans have left. They call it the Exodus.
Oh, because Bible stuff. Oh,
yep.
Oh.
Yeah, as soon as they really revealed what the mass evacuation from Earth was called, partway through, it was like, oh, once Project Exodus is finished, well, it's like, oh, fuck you. Because she keeps seeing the main character, she keeps like reading mythology books. It's like, oh, come on.
Oh, without going on too deep of a tangent, I'm trying to write a book at the moment, and I have symbolism, and like
symbolism.
Yeah, there's all kinds of symbolism up in that bitch. But the thing is, I know
all kinds of symbolism.
To me, it makes perfect sense, and I'm like, yeah, I wrote this. It's clever. But I realise that like readers are kind of gonna go, like, if it's heavy-handed and boring, what is that? It doesn't add anything, and the whole point is like, oh, your characters are 2D. Okay, add symbolism. It creates 3D. But then, like, if you bore them, then a 2D character would have been better at that point.
Exactly. It feels like it was trying too hard. It wasn't even anywhere close to the type of film it wanted to be. It wanted to be this big, thought-provoking, if we just never give up. And then it
Speaking
recreates...
Speaking of trying too hard, though... Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
But I was looking it up on IMDb, and there's like several movie goofs. I don't believe that they're spoilers, so I'm just going to read the one that it's interesting to me. The movie states that the air is toxic, mostly due to large concentrations of ammonia. A detection method for such toxicity is naked flame of purple color.
Yes.
Ammonia does not make the flame purple, but yellow in very large quantities. There would have not been an effect as described in the film. Ammonia is also very easy to recognize due to its unique smell, even at concentrations below toxicity. So no such detection method would have been necessary.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
So, like, trying too hard. It's like they make up science to make the science.
The strain. In the strain, all of the vampires secrete ammonia, so it's like, basically just smells like cat piss everywhere.
That would be terrible.
Yeah.
That would make me want to be a vampire hunter so bad. Just like, get this piss smell out of here.
Oh, man.
That's so... Oh.
Oh, well. I can safely skip that on Netflix then.
Yeah. Oh god, all the goofs are just factual errors, aren't they?
Yeah.
Ammonia is lighter than air. You would not find larger concentrations in subways or try to escape it by living on top of a mountain. Oh, come on! You are making a movie.
No,
There's money
took
behind
the term
it.
science fiction literally and decided to create science that's not real.
Oh, that makes it worse.
Yeah, it occurs to me that science fiction is one of those genres where your reader has a certain amount of ability to ignore certain things. Zombies, for instance. We all know that zombies couldn't really happen, and if they could, they would fall apart fairly quickly. But there's a suspension of disbelief because we're going, oh, this is a zombie story. So with science fiction in whole, I feel like you can wave your hand a bit, but you'll have all of the scientists sat there with a notebook going, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong.
Just you know what? Just if you've got to do it, just do what a lot of films like that have done in the past. Make up something.
Yeah, unobtainium.
A new strain of a new strain of this thing called something that was coined arose because of the degradation of that fucking the atmosphere or something like that. Like, it was because it degraded and this changed into this and it became toxic. Just fucking do that.
Yeah.
Don't go ammonia.
Yeah, or like what Avatar did. We need this new mineral called unobtainium.
It's like the first one they chose. Like, unobtainium? Yeah, fuck it, do it. People see the movie anyway.
Nobody cares. Literally, nobody's going to care about this movie.
Do you reckon they asked James Cameron and like, oh James, we've got a few ideas for the mineral in the movie. And he's like, yeah. And they're going, so we've found unobtainium. He's like, yeah, that's great. Well, do you want to hear the others? No, they're going to see the movie anyway. Unobtainium is go on. Yeah, next one.
Yeah. I'm too busy making Avatar 2 to 6 for the next 40 years of my life.
Just like writing it all down. Fuck. Didn't even make the movie, it was someone else.
Right.
He'll be making until he dies. No, actually, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to spoil the shit out of this movie. It sucks. The whole ending is... do you know the story? It's from Greek mythology, of course. I don't know the right pronunciation.
Carry on.
It's the thing. Is it Leda in the Swan or Leda in the Swan? It's the story about this woman who is seduced by a swan that Zeus, who takes the form of a swan, because Zeus is fucking mental.
I bet he would be a sexy swan.
Yeah, she gets seduced by a swan and
nice beard. Yeah.
Obviously she gives birth to, I think it's Helen of Troy.
Okay.
So, what do you think happens between the two characters?
He fucks a goose.
Yes. So.
I was like, wait, really?
They keep.
Could have watched this movie now.
I just reminded myself of
great.
Hot Fuzz. It's the bit where he goes, like, they're talking about his peace lily, and he goes,
escaped.
"Is that?" Well, it reminds me of that too, actually. But yeah, no, it's the bit where he goes,
Swans
"She left me because I was watering my peace lily," and he goes, "You did it with a plant."
So.
Yeah, what?
Okay, sorry.
The thing,
weird? What actually happened?
The thing that made me stand up and scream "fuck you" at the TV was they keep hammering home how she loves mythology. They end up banging because, of course, they do, and they're in this art museum right near the end because they need to get to the last transport ship leaving Earth because then they're never coming back again. So they're not checking to see if anyone else is alive. They're just leaving. So it's like, okay. And they're in this art museum, and she's always been obsessed with Leda and the Swan, like the painting. And she reads the poem, and I was just like, oh no, oh god, Falcon came from the sky because he comes down in a hot air balloon. They're gonna do it, aren't they? Oh god, they're gonna do it. And so she's pregnant and. She has been experimenting on herself, like they loosely shown, and now she can breathe the toxic atmosphere, and she's seen at the very end of the movie with her son, who can also breathe, and it's like, oh, it's like Leda and the Swan. Never lose hope, always believe. But yeah, I literally jokingly said, "Oh, he's Zeus because he came from the sky, didn't he?" And then they did it, and
that was
screamed,
actually
"Fuck you."
Yeah,
I screamed "fuck you." I was like, it came out. It's just like it's so poorly made that they kind of establish that she's obsessed with mythology and that at the beginning, and then it goes away. And like the thing, she's like experimenting on herself, and that kind of goes away as well. And then they just talk for what seems like 500 hours. And then they realise, oh yeah, we actually need stuff to happen, so they go to a city, and then she's like, I'm going to take my mask off and see if I'm okay, because it worked in my dream. The lighter was purple, and then we now know it should be yellow. But they wouldn't look good on camera.
Yeah, or that it shouldn't matter at all.
Yeah,
you can tell there's ammonia. It's you don't need to detect it.
But yeah, they do the whole thing, and I realised it's like, oh, he came from the sky. He's the Zeus of the story.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You crazy bitch," and he just leaves.
See, that just sort of raises a question to me because it's like when you see movies like this, it should be okay just to stop watching them and do something else, even if you're in the middle of it, because it's probably not going to get any better.
Oh yeah, but this happens right at the end of the movie.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I'm the kind of person who really likes kind of if I've invested in an hour and it's an hour 30, I'll stay because
it's like something will happen. Something has to happen.
Well, this is what I did over Christmas. Oh, you finish that, Matt, and then I'll tell you.
No, because what I was going to say, it's what I was saying at the time, is that there's a difference between a movie that's so bad it's funny and a movie that's just boring.
Which
a movie that's just boring is miserable.
Is the beautifulest segue into shit I've done over Christmas. Let's begin with so, as a human being on this planet with a finite amount of time before I die, I decided it was a good idea to watch the rest of the Resident Evil movies.
Oh, my girlfriend was watching the final one. I came home from getting my hair cut last weekend, and she was watching it, and I wanted to kill myself.
It was, yeah.
It makes no sense!
It doesn't even make sense in the logic of the movies, which is...
No, it doesn't. It retcons, like, every movie.
I can't...
None of it makes sense.
It was a movie that, like you said, it was so bad it wasn't even funny. The only thing that made me laugh... so I'd only ever seen the first 3. That's the one, the best one. Then the one then Resident Evil, kind of like 3-ish one,
Apocalypse
and then the
hilarious.
desert one.
It's so bad.
Those are the ones I'd watched before.
Yeah, the Mad Max one.
And
Mad Max one looks good at least.
Yeah,
aesthetically it looks good. It's shot well.
And then the next 3, one of them, because they all blur into each other because I watched 2 in one day and 1 the next day. There was some underground stuff that happened in, like, apparently Umbrella build like whole cityscapes underground so they can, like, anyway, the bit that made...
they dropped the whole extinction thing.
Yeah, I was like, isn't the whole planet a desert? No, okay then.
Well, some of it, but not all of it, even though we said all of it was.
Yep, and
we don't
isn't
know.
There a rescue ship? Oh wait, no, it's not a rescue ship. And the funniest thing about that is they get there to the rescue ship and they fix everything and they beat Wesker or whatever. And then the very start of the next film is that ship getting blown up in slow motion.
And then
so much slow motion.
And two of the characters, so much. So one of the, actually, that slow motion reminds me of a really good gag in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd like it, Chris.
I think Chris has
I've
seen
seen
it. Yeah.
It's great.
You've seen it? Oh, I love it. I still think it's incredibly...
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's so criminally underrated. And if it was made now, it would be an absolute smash hit. It would be huge. But there's that great line where they explain the slow motion, and it's because they realised that the episodes didn't meet the runtime, so they just randomly added slow motion. And that's what the Resident Evil movies were like.
Exactly.
It's like, well, it's not quite an hour and a half, so just slow that down. Look how good my wife is.
Right.
The entire series isn't my wife fantastic?
Yeah. So I slogged through all of those, and the bit that made me laugh in the last one was when the Red Queen turned out to be Alice, who was old and a clone. We already knew she was a clone, but apparently there was a real Alice, and she is old. And so...
Yeah. Well, it wasn't Alice, it was Alicia.
Oh, yeah, because that's totally different.
No Umbrella employee ever, brought up the fact, you look a lot... Are you related to Mrs. Marcus? Who the fuck is that? Alicia Marcus, the owner of the company. Isn't Wesker the owner of the company? No, it's, it's him, even though he's got a clone that is the head of a research unit and he's got the same name. But everyone treats him like shit.
Wesker's bad, except when Wesker's being good, but then Wesker was being bad by being good.
And then they forget his regenerating powers and his super speed and his teleportation because Ian Glenn got popular in Game of Thrones, so we had to put him back in, even though his character died in the third one. But that was a clone.
Yeah. And at the end of one of them, Wesker calls them to the White House, supposedly to help them. Right, so the whole thing looks a bit like cool Fallout
shot.
3, because it's supposed to be post-apocalyptic. And he stabs her with a syringe and goes, "I'm giving you your powers back because I need you to have your powers because you're useful." And then the next film starts, and it's like, he lied about the powers.
He betrayed me.
Make your fucking mind up.
And then there's a line in the last chapter, he goes, "I should have killed you," and Washington's like, "Yeah, you should have. Why didn't you? Why? And the fact that a door falling on his foot is what kills him.
Yeah.
I'm losing my strength. I'm dying. Well, that's pretty airtight. So you're probably not the blood's not spraying or anything. So you're good at the moment. Also, you're a monster and you can regenerate. Why can't you regenerate now? Oh, it's because Ian Glenn's the popular actor, and they give him super augmentation powers.
Yeah. That
somehow using those augmentation powers can also...
It does probability, sums in his head before he does anything. It's like, oh, if she grabs the glass tumbler, she has a 20% chance of grabbing me or something.
So he'll do this instead, and he like has a little vision in his head. It's like, oh, it's like when a teenager's like, I could totally kick his ass. I'd like slam his face on the table and stab him. Yeah, I'll do that, and then he gets into a fight and goes, ah!
So
also, this probability thing can reboot your heart after half of your body has been blown up by a grenade.
Well, there were so many instances I stopped counting of where they definitely killed someone. Like they're in a bunker underneath the fucking Arctic Ocean or something, and I think it's Jill who's evil and completely. That isn't explained in any way. It's just because it's in the games.
Yeah, it's because it's in Resident Evil 5, and that was a popular game at the
They
time.
were underground, and they got flooded with freezing cold water. These other guys got into a lift just as it was exploding, and got to the surface, and then they turn around, and they're there.
Well, that happens in the final chapter as well. She defeats Dr. Marcus until his thank you, Boiler. You stay out of this. Until the augmentation powers reboot his heart somehow. He's like at the bottom of the hive because they go back to the hive from the first one.
Yeah, they gotta go back to the hive.
Yeah, because callback. We want you to remember things, but then not remember things as well. Yeah, I mean they even ruined that. But so he's still down at the bottom of the hive. She's like on this fucking fast elevator going all the way up. She gets to the top, and he's just like, "I'll take that from you now," and just has like a gun pointed at her head. It's like, how the fuck did you get up here?
Yeah.
What's going on? Oh, it's remarkably bad. And also, they changed the Red Queen. The Red Queen was actually good all along because now it's played by Mila Jovovich and Paul W.S. Anderson's child. So of course it's the bestest thing ever. They can control zombies, but they can't. But they can. But they can't. Which doesn't make any sense.
They saved people, but they might not have saved people, and there's still people to save. And she's gonna die, but then she doesn't, and then she gets a download of some memories because reasons, and now she can go do more stuff.
They imply that her waking up in the bathroom in the very first one was when she was born.
When that clone was activated, yeah.
I'm like, that's literally in the film they established that's not the case.
No, because there are memories beforehand. Unless they've got memory implanting machine as well, in which case, why even fucking bother?
There is a character who is only there because Alice was working with his sister prior to the movie, because she was actually working against Umbrella. It's an absolute fucking train wreck, because I think it's the fifth one, the Red Queen has turned full supervillain and she's trying to destroy the world. And then in 6 she's just good again, because that's the only reason. That's literally the reason.
Because reasons.
And the worst thing is that Paul W.S. Anderson, there's a couple of worse things. One is that I'm pretty sure he wrote all the films, but he only directed 4 of them. Some other talentless prick directed Apocalypse, and that's why it's awful. The reason Extinction looks good is because it was directed by Russell Mulcahy, who he directed Highlander. He made Highlander.
Oh, right.
So he's always been really talented and his movies always look good. But what makes it worse is that Paul W.S. Anderson, before the Resident Evil movies, made good films. He made Mortal Kombat, which for a video game adaptation in the 90s was really fucking good. Mine, obviously there's not any of the gore, but then no one would see the movie because it'd be fucking 18 over here and R-rated in America. No kid's gonna fucking see it.
Yeah.
But I mean, for an adaptation, it's a good movie. It's generally a fun movie. And he made Event Horizon, which, it's it rips off other horror films. It's basically like Hellraiser in space, but it's still good.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of good ideas in that film.
Yeah, and a lot of it inspired a lot of stuff. Like Dead Space is heavily inspired by Event Horizon. And then to watch him just kind of rest on his laurels and just make this trash. And I mean, he makes money from it, but it feels like such a missed opportunity, because he could be doing much better work, and he's just resting on the fact that, I mean, he's just making crap and he's getting away with it.
Yeah.
And now he's making Monster Hunter. He's making a Monster Hunter movie, and guess who's in it? Is it his wife? Oh, his wife's in it, and I think she's the main character. So now we're just gonna get the Resident Evil movies again, but instead it's gonna be her just like single-handedly taking down giant monsters.
Wait. So Mila Jovovich is gonna be in the Monster Hunter movie?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean the only positive...
I have no direct reason to say that's a bad idea. It's just now that I know that it's like the director's wife, I'm like, oh.
It's just like, fuck. It was like when Tim Burton would... Helena Bonham Carter can act, but it was like when he would constantly put her in his films. It's like, really? Come on. It was came across like kind of... it's not embarrassing, but it's like... you feel like you're not doing it for the right reasons. But the only positive about the Monster Hunter movie is that it's never really been... I mean, I know there's a lot of lore to it. Of course there's lots of lore, but there's not any really any like iconic characters. There's not like your Chris Redfield, your Jill Valentine, your Leons, your Claires, your Adas. There's not these characters for them to absolutely ruin. So that's probably got a bit more potential.
Because I will say all of those characters, every single one of them is completely misused, is against type, like has none of the characteristics. I mean, at the point near the end, they were throwing in like Barry, and Barry was played by Kevin Durant,
and
who I like.
He's dressed like Barry for like no reason.
I like Kevin Durant. He was in The Strain as well.
He's great. He's a really good actor. He's really good. He's always really solid.
And he just has nothing to do. The coolest thing he does at the end is like he I think he might light a cigarette or something and shoot someone while he's been shot. Which I guess I don't know if that's kind of Barry-esque. I don't know. But the Leon is completely unmemorable. Like, just I don't remember anything about him.
They might as well just got Matthew Mercer to do it.
He
kind of looks like Leon anyway.
Ada as well.
Well, they supposedly got the voice actress to redouble her lines.
Oh well, if they did,
the
actual
Ada. Yeah, the films are just it's embarrassing because they just bring the characters in. And they have they just literally have like no purpose in that universe, and they're only there so you can go, oh, I know that character from the game. But what it does is that it's more patronising than anything. It's like, see, look, you got your thing, there you go. You remember that? Oh, there you go.
It's that thing that you like. Here's the Plagas because, well, we're not going to explain it. We're just going to put the Plagas in it because that's what the virus is now in the game.
They're zombies, right?
Here's the big guys with the axes because they're bosses in the game.
Yeah, like the executioner, Chris in Resident Evil 5, he's got a nail stuck in his body. Yeah. He's like the first sub boss. There's like two of them in one of the movies for like no reason. Yeah, they just show up. It's like, what's the purpose of them?
Yeah, can you imagine like Umbrella? They're just like, what can we make now? We made monsters, we made zombies. Let's make fucking horror movie monsters too. Let's go all the way with it. And like add nails in their back and give them something really heavy to drag around so they're very slow. And put an executioner's mask so they can't fucking see either. And just
put nails in their head. Fuck it.
And we're just gonna collect data about it.
Yeah,
it's so strange and so counterproductive as well because I look at that and I think that looks like alternative rock, industrial metal, 9 Inch Nails, like Matrix wearing coat person. Thinks that's cool from 98 to 2003 maybe. Like whoa, that's like such an edgy character. Well, like, and getting back to the Resident Evil 2 remake, I did play the demo because I don't have any like self-control whatsoever, and I'm not going to go into detail. But Mr. X in the new game,
he's the only thing I don't like.
Terrifying. And
I mean, he looks terrifying. It's just that fucking hat. There's something about the hat. I'm like, you look such a dork. Like, yeah, he's gonna really blend in now. Like this big, like fucking refrigerator with a head on top. It's like, is that a monster? No, he's wearing a rain hat. He's fine. Yeah, he's all right. Yeah. Always punched.
Well, it worked for the turtles.
He doesn't need 20 nails in his face.
It worked for the turtles.
Exactly.
Which one? The turtles were saved. Yay!
Fucking hat, trench coat. We're not turtles. Don't worry about the green skin or 3 fingers. Don't worry about any of that nonsense.
I love that. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, the hat just looks silly. But I've seen one clip of him because, like, I've seen some clips like just the characters walking around the hallways without no action or anything. Because that's all I didn't want to see too much. And there's one bit I saw that I really liked was really sold me on it recently was they were playing as Claire, and there's like a zombie at the end of the hallway, and they're aiming at them. It's all gameplay, and all of a sudden Mr. X walks around the corner and just like shoulder checks it, and barges it out of the way, and just like walks towards him. was the player. I was like, I'm sold. That looks
Yeah,
great.
he's
She literally just like, goes, fuck off out of the way.
like, I have not like, I'm not anxious, but like thinking about the new game because I've played the demo, so I'm aware of what the zombies' kind of capabilities are. Mr. X looks like he's like relentless, like Nemesis relentless. So he scares me a little bit.
And yeah, he should. And I think I know what they'll do with him. And if
Plus,
they do
the rules
that,
are
it'll be very
different now
smart.
too. Like the rules aren't like you can just go to another room and be safe.
Yeah.
Yep. No.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a spoiler map, but zombies can open doors.
Oh shit. Fuck.
So.
Oh, but I mean, it's not like straight away. So it'll be like, yeah, no, that makes sense. That's good. No, that works. That'll work. I was just thinking about what I think that if they're smart, they'll do with Mr. X. Is they'll get rid of him initially by having William Birkin kill him off before he comes back as the big scary one at the end, because then that immediately establishes William Birkin as a really big threat, which is what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I could be absolutely wrong. Or he could kill a Mr. X because we know they've got like multiples of them, haven't they? Because I remember even in the original there was. They let one canister go, but there's like loads of them. There's like 5 or 6 others when they drop him.
Yeah, like Mr. X was like a precursor to Nemesis, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like I might be remembering wrong, but I think whoever you played in B had Mr. X's to deal with, not A.
Yep.
So
yes.
And again, I don't want to spoil it, but it's not a conventional A-B scenario this time. There's some intricacies to it. It's not a whole one flat thing all the way through, and it's not a pick one then the other kind of thing. It's kind of melded together.
Oh, good. So, control goes between the characters.
Yeah, presumably in some places, and other places are kind of like.
Oh, you have to play it as this character next time to see what
kind
happens.
Of thing.
Good. I miss games that do that.
Yeah.
I really miss games that do that because it gives you an incentive to play it again.
But let me just run through some other stuff I did over Christmas really quickly then, so we can get onto the main event.
The main event.
I played / watched Black Mirror Bandersnatch. I don't know if you guys have done that yet.
No, not yet. I want to. I really want to.
It's great. I mean, I'm biased. I like choose your own adventure stuff. I like basically games that are already essentially what Bandersnatch does, which is just a kind of like a and B option, and then you get branching paths.
Yeah, like that, the X-Files. Yeah. FMV game, stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, and, Until Dawn minus all the walkie parts, and you've basically got this same experience. I thought it was really good. The fact that it's framed around the idea of someone who's creating a create-your-own-adventure game in the 80s is really good because it works on a meta level. Can't recommend it enough, really. Go play it. It's fun. I hope Netflix does more of this kind of thing. Not too much, because obviously, like other people have said, create your own adventure. The fact that you have to have so many paths means that you sacrifice, what's the word? Some of the more deliberate kind of things you can do with fiction. Like if you're telling a certain kind of story, if you then got to have like 10 endings that don't do anything like that, they're going to be either half-assed or the whole thing will be half-assed. And
and you have the risk of someone finishing your game and being incredibly disappointed.
Exactly. And that's why Bandersnatch works so well, because it's framed around that. The concept is framed around a game, create your own game, so it kind of fits. So I want Netflix to make more of it, but I don't want everything to be it, because
no, you don't want that.
Yeah, you'll lose tailored
That'd be
stories.
Disastrous. They get boring as well if everything.
Yeah.
If there was just like a ton of them coming out.
Have you guys seen Birdbox?
No,
okay.
I watched
it's a
Red Letter Media's video.
Massive meme at this point in time.
There's a really good one as well.
People have been blindfolding themselves, and because there's a moment in the film. The main conceit is that there are kind of monsters that if you see them, you'll go insane and kill yourself.
Yeah, they show like your worst fear.
Yeah, so everyone works out pretty quickly that they can't kind of look, so they have to wear blindfolds, or they paint the windows on their car so they can drive. And they're using like a GPS to tell where they are in the road, and they're using like sensors on the car, parking sensors, to tell if they're near to an object. So they're kind of driving blind down the street using the GPS and these sensors. And I'm pretty sure that now the Birdbox challenge is try and drive your car with a blindfold, and people are like doing it.
No.
It's like,
That's so stupid.
yeah, it's like that challenge where people have to like, fuck, what was it? Like drive their car, then get out of the car while it's moving and do a dance. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, look at me, I'm so original. Everyone else is doing it.
Or the cinnamon one where you've got to like swallow a whole load of cinnamon at once.
Cinnamon.
The Tide Pod challenge.
Yeah. I despair.
People are morons. They're absolute morons.
Birdbox.
I saw.
Oh, yeah.
So no, go on. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just gonna say Birdbox itself is an interesting movie. Goes on a bit too long, but it's all right. I liked it. It was okay.
Yeah, I've heard it's a bit too long. I haven't watched it yet. I mean, because the problem was that I saw A Quiet Place, and I absolutely loved
I hear
A
A Quiet Place is better, although I haven't seen it.
It's so good, but the thing is, because I've already seen that, saw the trailer for Birdbox and thought, and probably unfairly thought, oh, it's just A Quiet Place, but this time you just can't look at it as opposed to make sound, which I think is fair because it came out quite soon. Having obviously heard that it shows you worst fear, that's fine. But I saw a comment because I watched Red Letter Media's review of it. They really hated it.
Okay.
But I there was a really funny comment. It was on the top rated ones, and they said because they said, I saw the movie, and what I don't understand is these creatures can like rattle doors and shake your car, but they can't take a blindfold off.
No.
It's like, you won't have a movie, but they could have gone with something like that where they would have to really securely put them on so you couldn't just lift them off.
Well, I have a major issue with it. I was with it narratively until it did something really you know what I mean? It did something annoying.
Yeah. Something really
There's
stupid.
a moment in the film where they've amassed in John Malkovich's house. Malkovich.
Oh, I know the bit Red Letter Media
really
spoke about.
Oh, okay, because
is it the guy who's I'm not crazy and then he is crazy?
Oh no! Before that.
Oh, not that one. Before that.
Yeah, there's a very nice man who says, "I've got CCTV cameras around the house. We could use thermal imaging and see if they show up on thermal imaging." So
that's cool.
Yeah, so he decides and he straps himself in the chair so that if he goes mad, he's not going to hurt anyone. And they say, "You don't have to do this." He says, "No, we're going to try this. It's an experiment." That's all fine. And then he proceeds to look at a load of cameras, and they are not thermal imaging cameras at all. They are just CCTV cameras. Whether they miswrote the script or it was just, it took me completely out of it because I was like, thermal imaging makes sense. You could see if it's a colour. But like, if you look at a CCTV camera, you're probably going to see the same thing everyone's seeing normally anyway.
Because that's a cool idea, because then you get into this whole question of, are they spectral? Are they at any point really there, or is it something like purely supernatural? I mean, it's very supernatural. We know what I mean. Like, is it something incorporeal and
Well, he did give them the information that even a CCTV camera does it, but I'm 100% sure he said thermal imaging.
You know what it probably was as well. They were like, yeah, it'll be great, and then they got this. Like, how much would it cost to do the effect? And he's like. No, mate. No.
How much you got?
Just turn it green to like night vision or something.
Yeah, we already spent 50 quid on these blindfolds.
It's like, here, put this green piece of plastic in front of the camera. There you go.
Now, I know there's there's people that it drives crazy, but then they don't kill themselves. They just try to. And it's like that sounds really stupid.
They become like influencers,
that.
basically. They kind of go a little bit insane enough so that they can then act as, I don't know, like avatars for the evil, so that they can open the windows and stuff like that.
Yeah, because there's one scene they showed in the RLM review. And there's this one guy's like, can you help me on these crazy people? They try to show me it, and I go away and whatnot. Please, I'm not crazy. And they're like, I'm not sure. And then they go, fine. So one of the characters lets him in. He's like, oh, Jesus Christ, thank you so much. And he's with him for like a day or two, and he's completely normal until then the script goes, and now he acts crazy, and he goes, and he just like rips all the stuff off the window, because that's how crazy people work.
Yeah, there are no hints whatsoever that he's crazy until it's like a switch.
It'd been better if there was like little ticks half over, and he's just like, a bit mad. But just like, that's how crazy people are just like really good at acting normal. Like, no, when people are really mental, like proper insane, they can't hide it. That's why they're called crazy people. When they start going wibble like this and running around with their underpants on their head, covering themselves in Marmite, then that's pretty much
I need to watch that Red Letter Media video, because I probably agree with loads of it.
I mean, I'll probably will watch it at some point. But
Yeah.
the best thing I like about it are all the memes.
Yeah, so many memes.
My favorite is I think I saw one that was either I saw one and I thought it would be funny. It was something like trying to avoid Game of Thrones spoilers, like, and it's just Sandra Bullock. The best one, because it's such a dark joke, was the McCanns looking for Madeline. Like,
oh god.
It's like, oh, I love it so much. It's so good.
Wow.
Dark joke, dark humour. Fuck the McCanns.
You know.
It was their fault. Sorry, guys, but
It's getting hot in here.
down with them.
No, it's one of those things
but,
that the more you read into it, the more you kind of think this is fucking fishy. But we won't go into
yeah,
that.
and they've just been given even more money to continue the search, even though it's been so fucking. And that money could be used for so much good stuff, like not cutting funding to the police and hiring more officers. But, you know, or other things where people are dying. You know, we've got enough problems coming to this country than just throwing money away.
Yeah.
I can think of 7 good reasons why we should move on.
There we go. I was thinking, like, I was going to segue through in the Resident Evil stuff. Like, how many movies are there in Resident Evil?
Yeah, because I did so much more stuff.
There's only like 6 Resident Evil movies. That's a shame.
If they made a 7th, it'd be a sin. Sorry.
The one thing I will say about the Resident Evil movies to finish off is, if you are even a bit curious because you've watched one of them or 2 of them and you're thinking maybe I should watch the rest for novelty value, I'm here to tell you it's not worth it. The end.
At least they only made 6. The best thing about them is that they haven't made any more.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I can't believe some of them got cinematic releases.
Someone died making the last one. That's depressing. That's really depressing. A stunt woman died making the last one.
Oh dear.
That's just sad. Yeah, it was Mila Jovovich's stunt double. She died, I think it was like a motorcycle scene. It's like, well, someone died for this piece of shit. That's great, isn't it? That makes me feel good.
You're making us all feel really good right now.
Yeah, I'm going to kill myself.
Are you becoming apathetic to society, Matt? Are you thinking maybe we're all filth and we need to be removed?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've read your notebooks.
Spacey.
I've read your notebooks.
I'm Kevin Spacey, and I don't know if I'm creepy in real life or in movies.
Right.
It's such method acting.
Like, is he creepy in real life, or is it just like...
He's really in character.
It's like, I'll bring my own
this
orange
is the only time
jumpsuit
he's
too.
not acting. This is the only time he's just not acting at all in this movie. This is just him
Yeah,
being
he turns
Kevin
up
Spacey.
later on. He's got all the blood in his hands. He's like, I
Just
just
walked
turned up
onto
like
set.
this.
Yeah. Like, the removing the fingerprints was something he was doing anyway.
Like, wow, that's really good method
It's
acting,
one of the deciding
Kevin.
factors
Huh?
in the casting. It's like, oh, we don't have to cut someone else's fingerprints off. They've already done it.
Yeah, he's like,
Great method
what are you talking about? This is what I do all the time. Chewing him
Yeah,
off.
Well, you picked
we'll
7,
finally get
Matt,
to 7.
didn't you?
Yes, I did. I hadn't seen it since I was just before I was a teenager. Actually, it's been a long time since I'd seen it. I remember when it came out. I remember it like even because I think it was 94?
95, I believe.
95. Even then, I remember when it came out. I was only about 8 at the time. And I remember it being a really big deal. Like, it was a huge deal. And you know, I still went to go and see stuff like that. Watched stuff like that at home. Sorry, like horror movies and that, you know, as we've established. But obviously, couldn't go to see this at the cinema because I was way too young. But I remember my grandfather and my mum went to go and see it, and they came back and they were just talking about how like amazing it was, and I was really want to see it. And it always had a really lasting impression with me. I think this might only be the second time I've watched it.
This was the second time I've watched it.
Yeah, and it was amazing just how much of it had a lasting impression on me. Like, how many scenes obviously I didn't remember it word for word, but how many scenes I remembered.
That's a good point, actually. I remembered a lot of it visually before I watched it again.
Yeah. I always there's a couple of scenes that always stop me. Obviously, the ending. Everyone remembers the ending because it's amazing. the autopsy. It wasn't when they find the first victim. It was the autopsy scene that just stuck in my mind. It was the autopsy scene.
Oh, okay.
That
for me, it's the opposite way around.
Really, yeah. For some reason, it was just the autopsy scene was just what stuck with me, and the other one is the chase scene, like halfway through the film, which is just brilliant. That chase scene is so good. It's so well shot because it's just masterfully done. You never quite see his face. You think you do.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I just want to see what he looks like. And that's a absolute. It's one of the best things about the movie. Is just how well it handles the mystery of the killer. And watching it back after. I mean, obviously, spoilers of the damned. If you hadn't seen Seven, then well, too bad because you had a long time to watch it. Obviously the killer we all know turns out to be Kevin Spacey. But what's good, and I picked up on it when we were watching it, is his name doesn't go up in the in the credit sequence at the beginning.
Oh,
yeah.
His name was nowhere to be seen.
That makes sense. I hadn't even looked for that.
It wasn't even on the poster. It was nothing, and I think
That's clever.
It might have been his idea actually. He's like, no, because if my name's not on there,
Of course it was.
yeah. Because then again, it's a case of like, well, if my name's on there, people are going to be waiting for me to turn up, and when I don't turn up,
no, it's you. It's the
they'll
killer.
realise it's gonna be me. So when he just turns up, and because he literally just walk out and he lets himself get arrested, it's like a big shock. You know, holy shit, it's him. But yeah, those are the three scenes that always stuck with me. There is a funny story I want to tell you about the ending, but shall I tell it now or later?
Well, I was going to say the ending is one of the things that really stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
Frame for frame, you could picture it all from memory before I'd even watched it this second time. It's a gripping movie that just kind of keeps going along, and you're like, okay, and then when they catch him and they're in the car, that's where everything kind of
keeps going.
Ramps up.
Yeah.
You're expecting it to
like,
kind of
well,
like they've got him
yeah.
now. It's kind of winding down. No, it builds and builds and builds.
And then it just like that helps with the dread as well. She's like, oh god, it's not over, is it? Oh.
Yeah.
Even knowing what happened, like, just it still had me like really on the edge of my seat as well. Even like the chase sequence. There was part of me thinking like they could have killed off the character there. Like, I know they didn't because he has to be at the end, but because of the way Morgan Freeman is freaking out so much, and because he's so far behind, in another film, you think, well, they could kill him off here, and that could be what really drives Morgan Freeman's character to carry on. And it's not the case. I'm glad they don't, because it makes sense for Brad Pitt to be what he is at the end. But that chase scene's just brilliant. It's so well made. The suspense is just literally gripping the edge of your seat. It's a special movie. It holds up so well. And I think it
really does.
I think it's probably one of the best things that it's definitely one of the best things I've picked for the podcast. And it's now I'm watching it again, I think it might actually be one of my favourite movies. I've only even seen it twice. It's terrible. I'm a horrible person. Terrible person.
Well, it's kind of funny because like I loved Seven when it came out, but I was young and edgy, so of course I would.
Yeah, like whoa, it's got Trent Reznor at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, what a soundtrack! Got Gravity Kills, got Nine Inch Nails, and I love Gravity Kills.
All it's missing is guys with 20 nails in the back of their head and big axes.
Yeah, the fucking executioner's head.
Oh no, it's Raph.
Hood.
That would set the shit off.
That would set the shit off. But I actually I had a DVD copy of it, and I think it's like I was looking for it before I watched the movie. Cause I thought I had it. I know I definitely bought it at one point, but I cleaned out my collection at one point because like DVDs just aren't even valuable anymore. So I was like, all these things I'm holding on to, I might as well just throw them away if I'm never really going to watch them, and just really organize and consolidate. I think Seven was in that dispose pile because of how edgy I thought I was when I watched the movie. You know, and how I figured, like, I'm not that kind of person anymore, and I'll probably never even watch this movie ever again. But then you chose it for the podcast, and I couldn't find it, so that must have been what happened. I threw it away. But thankfully,
I think it's easy to forget how gripping it is.
Yeah,
it's a really well-made movie. But this is the first time, I think, since we started this podcast, that a movie I was looking for on Netflix was actually there.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, it's there, fucking finally.
Right now,
Yeah.
I will say viewers in 3 months who are watching, it might not be there anymore because Netflix seems to
if
change
they
every
take it
day.
off. Yeah, if they take it off, it'd be a crime.
Yeah.
Be a
It'd be
sin.
like the 8th sin. But yeah, watching it again, like I kept looking up. I was playing Civilization 6 at the same time, which is also something that's like, you want to kill some time, buddy. You play some Civs. Tell you what. Tell you what. I was playing for like 12 hours. I was just like, what?
Oh no, I've become one of the sins.
Yeah. Oh man, but I was watching the movie and it's like, this is everything I've ever loved about like horror movies. Like
it's horrifying.
the set pieces remind me a lot of like some Silent Hill set pieces. You know, just like
how
especially
gritty
like the
grungy
gluttony.
it is.
You know, you walk
Yeah.
in there and it's like, this is where a person lived. This is where this person has died. And now everything around it sets the elements of the story, similar to Silent Hill 2. Whenever you like go into the lakeside apartment complex or whatever it's called, and every room has a kind of story. Like the room where you find the shopping cart with the gun in it. There's bullet holes on all the walls, and you're wondering what the fuck happened in here, you know. And this movie had like a very similar premise, like in almost every one of its scenes. Plus, it's got Nine Inch Nails. Plus, it has Gravity Kills. And
David Bowie, I think, is on there as well.
Yeah. Heart's Filthy Lesson started playing on all the credits. I was like, yes, there's some Bowie.
Pretty soundtrack. And Howard Shore did he composed the music as well. Like, so it's really good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
So it's like, it's dirty, it's grungy, it's gritty, but it's like everything makes sense. Everything had cohesion. Like everyone had like Brad Pitt had that sort of like constantly sort of like filthy look about him.
Yeah.
You know, like he was part of the city, and the city was part of him, and
I will say
it was so
the
fucking good.
yeah, the acting, every element is good on its own, but
so
the
good.
acting is insane in this film.
They're all so good.
I've written here, because I write little notes to remind myself of things when we podcast. I've written here, the leads in this movie are detectives. I don't see Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman at all. They are 100% real detectives who work and live. And I mean, like I've written here, I enjoyed World War Z, which like not a lot of people did, but I thought it was okay. But when I was watching World War Z, and even if I was describing it, it would be Brad Pitt killed a load of zombies, you know, because it's Brad Pitt. I couldn't tell you what the character's name was. In this,
He's supposed to be like a doctor, isn't he?
Something like, but
like a scientist.
His name, I just whatever.
Yeah.
But in this, I remember his name is Detective Mills because that's who he is. He's not Brad Pitt. I don't see Brad Pitt. And it's so hard for me nowadays to get sucked into something so much like that I can't see the fact that obviously it's a real person. That's not his real name, but this just felt so real.
Yeah, they're all just there's not a bad there's not a bad actor, there's not a bad character in the whole film. Everyone is there for a reason. Everything that it feels like every little thing in the movie has purpose. There's no scene that's just in there because they wanted to pad out the runtime. And it's so perfectly balanced, paced. The pacing is just absolutely spot on. It's because it's a good 2-hour movie. I think it might even be. It's not 2.5. But it's quite long. But this is a film because often on here we do talk about films that are too long because they feel like they have to be because everything else is long now. Yeah. It was just over 2 hours, but there was never a moment when we were watching it that I was getting a bit.
Yeah, this doesn't need to happen.
You're like, we don't like there's even that one scene where Gwyneth Paltrow is talking to Morgan Freeman in the diner.
Yeah.
And other films that would obviously it's important to establish that she's pregnant and all this, but just the dialogue's great. The two of them talking to each other, they feel like real people, and that which could be a throwaway scene in a lesser movie, or has purpose and feels relevant, and you're still just like fully on board because you care about this small little group of characters. And
like
I mean,
what was really oh god, I don't want to interrupt, but I don't want to forget.
No, that's fine.
Sorry. What was really important about that scene wasn't that it was just like this isn't the scene where Gwyneth Gwyneth Paltrow really reveals that she's pregnant, and then they move on. It's also the scene where they talk about Morgan Freeman's character and what happened in his past and what his motivations are. Like he's literally just like holding on to a thread of humanity. You know, amongst like all these dark elements in the city, all the apathy and all that kind of stuff, and like so Gwyneth Paltrow, not having many options, has to talk to him and about just what's going on in their life, and you know, he's the only neighbor they have basically. But it was so good that it wasn't just like hi Morgan Freeman, blah blah blah, I'm pregnant.
Oh my god!
Next scene.
Yeah, it's crazy because that scene also. It's funny. It's simultaneously you get exposition, you get the fact that she is pregnant and that's important in the plot. You get the backstory, not only like the fact that they moved to a city and they don't like it and it's kind of difficult for her, but also, you know, the backstory of Morgan Freeman and what happened in his life, and also the fact that the city has worn him down as well. So
it's absolutely destroyed.
It just underlines that. The whole thing about the city is kind of like, I feel like the city is almost a character in this film in that it's oppressive, it's always raining, it's dark, it's faceless, nameless, I think on purpose.
Which that's a huge strong suit. It's so strong because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the dark timeline.
Because then it makes it. I mean. It's not timeless because of the technology now, but it makes it borderline timeless because there's not that moment of, oh, it's set in New York, because when the movie was made, like New York had a big crime problem, or like it would be like filming it in Detroit now, which is quite run down, I believe, at the moment. Like there's obviously the joke, there's all the jokes online where people are like, oh my god, Detroit has become the Detroit from RoboCop. But yeah, because they don't do that, like it makes it more timeless, because like any city could be to go to shit like this, like any city in America, any city in England, in France, like anyway, and you believe it. And also
like it's just the bad part of town.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily the whole city. It's the bad part of town.
Yeah, there's always a bad part. There's always a bad part of every city. That's what I always say to people. I'm like, oh yeah, but that happens in London. I'm like, yeah, London's a big place, and every city, every town in England has like a bad area. There's nice places in Essex, there's bad places in Essex, there's lovely places in Manchester, horrible places in Manchester. So that makes it feel more real as well. But also getting back to the scene in the diner is, like you're saying, it pushes the story forward as well, because you find out about that Gwyneth Paltrow is pregnant and that they really don't like living there because Jesus Christ, that apartment is fucking horrible with the train.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
That's kind of almost darkly comedic as well.
That's a really genuinely funny scene.
Speaking of dark comedy, Morgan Freeman's face when he laughs is a horrifying thing.
That seemed like such a genuine belly laugh as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he performed. It's just that his face looked like he was going to eat them next.
It's like just like his jaw was going to unlock. Like his tentacles going to burst out like the thing.
Yeah.
But what's so good about it is because, like you're saying, the exposition find out more about Morgan Freeman. An exposition is a thing it can be very difficult to get right in any kind of medium.
Mm-hmm.
And bad exposition where it's just like they are telling you, it's like, Mum, how can you treat me like this? You know Dad died 5 months ago. Ever since Dad died in that horrible car crash in Milwaukee,
as
6 days and 27 hours
walking
ago.
Up to people and going, hey, my brother.
Yeah, hello, how's it going, brother? Have you been speaking to Mum recently since Dad died 27 years ago to the dot in that train accident? Yeah, exactly. But what it does is it gets the exposition across about his backstory, and because you're interested in him anyway, because you want to find out what makes him tick. But it does it in such a natural way. It feels like a genuine conversation that anyone would have, because she's asking for advice, and then you find out something horrible it's horrible what happened to him, because it's such a great believable moment, and shows he still does have humanity, even though he's worried he doesn't. It shows that he does, because he says, like, he basically pressured her into getting rid of it, and he broke her down until she agreed. And he says, I think I made the right decision, but not a day goes by when I regret it. Yeah. It's like, I believe it. Like, that's believable, because just because you've made the right decision doesn't mean it's the decision you wanted to make. It makes him more human. Shows that he's vulnerable, and you feel sympathy for him because it's not an easy decision to make.
And you want to know why this guy is this way, because you see him on his own, and you see that he's a really good cop, and he can't switch off, but
he's great.
What happened to this guy, because he seems so nice. And it's the city that's kind of worn him down.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad. Like he's on his own. He goes home alone, and the only that you see him getting his frustration out is he throws his penknife at the dartboard. And I like watching it back again, knowing the ending. I think his character is almost like a red herring, because they're building up obviously all the 7 deadly sins, and then there's that one bit towards the end where he's throwing the knife at the dartboard, but he's doing it with such anger and force. You're like, oh, he's wrath. Oh, obviously he's not. And I feel almost like it might have been a red herring, to catch certain people out if they were trying to figure out if any of the characters would become sins.
Yeah, I can see that.
And
one thing I wanted to point out about his exposition is that they didn't waste time showing a scene where Morgan Freeman is just in his apartment looking at pictures of things that might have been.
Yeah, it's his ex-wife or his girlfriend, and there's his
they
friends.
Didn't do that.
Yeah,
they
there's
just
not that
naturally
scene.
threw it into dialogue that was well written and well performed, and it's really rare to see that.
That's probably why the pace is so good. Is because it feels like there is no fat on the script. Everything that happens in there is important and happens for a reason. So that probably just adds to the fact that the pace keeps rolling and rolling. There's no lull.
Like even Gwyneth Paltrow's character inviting Morgan Freeman to dinner just offhand, and then not even telling Brad Pitt afterwards, she just hangs up on him.
That's great.
And he's like, well, what did she want? He's like, oh, I'm coming over for dinner. He's like, what?
It's of course you are. Of course you are.
That scene sets up so many things. It sets up the relationship that Brad and Gwyneth have, which, is loving, but also, playfully or casually
stressful.
Stressful, yeah. I don't want to say abusive, but just they rib each other, or they give and take on equal terms.
It's believable. Again, it's believable.
It sets up a reason for Brad and Morgan to get together and get to know each other in a human way, not just through work.
Yeah.
It sets up the relationship between Brad and Gwyneth, and the fact that how warm and caring and how long they've loved each other and all that kind of stuff. High school sweethearts, that whole thing, which really sets up the ending. But they do it from the beginning, She's not just the token wife character who will be sacrificed for the ending. She's her own person. She's her own character in the story. Yeah. And if she didn't do what she did, then Brad and Morgan wouldn't have gotten together as characters as easily, to be detectives as a team and care about each other. So without her, the story wouldn't work. That kind of thing. Not just because she was not just because she loses her head at the end, but because she literally brings the whole thing together. That's how you write a character that matters.
Yeah, and it's in character as well for Morgan Freeman to be standoffish and kind of keep everyone at arm's length. So when she pulls him into their kind of, that friendship, that's when he opens up more, and, that's believable. He keeps people at arm's length because he lives in a city of fucking weirdos and sickos. And he just wants to leave. He's ready to leave, and he gets kind of drawn back in.
Yeah.
And what I like as well is that it does that thing that not a lot of thrillers or detective-y things do, where you actually see them doing the boring part of the job, where they're just sat at their desk and it's doing the paperwork and going through the files. Because that's what it's like. They're not running around shooting at people all the time. I imagine a lot of it is going through that. Got to make sure double check that again. It's got to be fucking time consuming and very stressful.
You mentioned the chase scene.
I mean, in a time before the internet too, where you couldn't just Google things.
Yeah.
So you just had pictures of stuff given to you on your desk that you took or you were there for, and then you're sort of noodling it together, and then you call that one person you think might give you an answer, then you hang up, and then you might call somebody else, and that's your whole work day.
Yeah. Made any progress? No. But maybe tomorrow.
I think that's why the chase scene works so well, though, is because up until that point it has been very procedural, very, finding things, checking over things, etc., and then suddenly that kind of explodes into action, quite literally.
It makes
with a
it feel
gunshot.
like And what it does as well, actually, it does really well. It makes them feel like they're making progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't see anything of him for the entire movie up until that point. Well, technically you see him taking photos.
I thought that was a really nice touch. Yeah.
That was brilliant. Because I'd forgotten
that too.
I was looking for it, and then when that scene happened, I stopped it, went back, and I frame by framed it, and you just cannot see Kevin Spacey's face in that entire scene. And if you listen to his voice, he's like, "I've got a right to be here."
Yeah.
You if you know it's Kevin Spacey, you can hear his inflections in the voice.
You can just
but otherwise, he sounds like just some asshole.
Yeah, because it doesn't bring attention to his face.
No.
You're just thinking, "Oh, fucking
It's
photographers,
so
man."
good.
It's great, but it just comes at the right moment because it really makes it feel like they're finally making progress. Because you haven't other films what they would do is they would show him enacting the kills. It'd be like, "You have done this. You have sinned by being greedy." You know, the lesser films would show that. It'd be like the end of the day for the cops, and it would cut to like night in the office of the was it like the congressman or the district attorney that he killed. It would like cut to that and him like torturing
they
him
would.
or something.
The favourite thing to do would be to have him torturing them, and the scream as it cuts to outside as it fades to black or whatever.
Yeah,
like
and it would like go no, and then it cut to like the sirens, you know. But I even like the fact that the way, especially the second kill, actually, is that they're acting like it's just another murder. So you even don't think about it until you see greed written on the floor. And it's just. I don't think there's anything. Like, I'm trying because obviously, like I'm me cynical. No, there's always usually something in a film even I like that I pick up on. I'm like, that was a bit rubbish. But this is like one of the few times where I'm like thinking over like everything. I'm like, no, I don't have any. It's just. It's like, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. That scene should be there. That scene should be there. I'm okay with the fact that you don't see all the murders because you don't have to, because it's not overly the important part.
It's so much more important and more fun to see the after effect, and then just sort of imagine it, than just to have like the Saw movie level of like just intense gore and action in your face, you know. Like, not being there is better, and then seeing it, like, the aftermath is so
because
better.
they do that, especially with the first one, where they say, like, that must mean he went to the supermarket, got some more, and came back. And, he was, like, holding a bucket for him to be sick, and you're like, you can picture it in your head, and you're like, fucking hell. If they'd shown it, it would have still been kind of like, it'd still be like, oh my god, that's awful, but I don't know.
But it makes it go in your head, and you're like, see, this guy just, like... He just blasé left. He's like, I'm gonna go buy some groceries, and he came back because it's like it's kind of scary. It is scary. It's a scary movie. It's definitely a horror movie. I don't care when it says there's so many horrific elements in it. Like the fact he goes out to do it, and it makes you feel like you're along for the ride with the detectives as well, because you're seeing the aftermath. So you're along with them figuring out the pieces. So like when they're showing like the autopsy, and he's like, well, this is what happened to him, and he was binded by his wrists and his hands, and and then there was the mark on his head, so he obviously had a gun pointed at his head, and you're going, oh, that's how so you're piecing it together with them, which is engaging you more anyway, because you're thinking along with them, and it makes you feel smarter as well, because a lot of the fun with mystery films or anything is trying to figure out is going along the ride with them. So this does such a perfect job of showing you just enough without just giving the game away. And I think that I think the most horrific one that we do not see anything of is Lust. Not Lust. Is it Pestilence?
No, Pestilence isn't a sin.
No, what am I thinking of? I'm terrible. It's the
I'm
prostitute.
sick. It's a sin.
He's got a horse. Pestilence.
It's I was wrong. That's one of the 4 horsemen. I'm gonna look it up. Fuck it.
Because there's
no, it is Lust. It is Lust, because Envy's the one at the end. Lust is the one where he gets that horrific strap-on made that's got the knife on the end, and he puts the gun to the guy's head and says, "Fuck her."
Yeah.
It's like, that is...
Which, he would have to shoot me. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Oh wait, who's the one with the knife? This guy. I'm about to chase that guy out of the room. You're gonna have to shoot my ass.
Oh my god, I'm imagining a guy with a knife on the end of his penis,
Kevin Spacey
and Kevin Spacey is point blank, like bang, 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 and this guy's like ping, ping, like deflecting bullets.
But the only thing that it momentarily took me out of that scene was the guy who played the dude that had the strap on put on him
he played
Purvis in Alien Resurrection, and he was basically giving the same performance. But he's like, I'm panicking, oh, I'm panicking. It's like, oh, he's panicking for a different reason.
Doesn't he use his chest burster to kill someone else?
Yeah, it's like, you should have done that to Kim Spacey, just thrust
that.
it through his head.
Yeah.
That guy's got a weird career, He's always penetrating someone with something.
And hyperventilating.
That was like the only thing momentarily, but that one, I think out of all the ones that you don't see, is probably the more horrific, because that would... the thought of it makes me cringe.
Yeah.
It makes me cringe to think
That's
about.
what I'm saying. Like, it's like the idea of even approaching the fact that you would penetrate somebody with a harness like that, and that she would be strapped down and like going to have to go along with it one way or the other,
sorry.
and just saying no. That's horrible and unacceptable. I mean, I guess you'd have to be somebody with very little like pride or confidence or self-esteem or some element that you wouldn't even consider your own safety or their safety. And like I said, like in my case, if I was like I was down in some deep red light district and I'm about to have sex with a whore and some dude comes in with a gun, like, you put this on and you fuck her with that, I'm like, no, you're gonna shoot both of us.
I knew the risks when I came
what's
here.
in it for me?
Yeah, because it's like, you're not going to get over that, are you?
Well,
no, I'll never get over that.
Because because I watched it with my partner. Like, most of the stuff for the podcast we watched together, and we were just saying, it's like, that dude is never having sex ever again.
Yeah, his life is over.
He's like, well, that's it for me, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like we were saying, it's like human beings do weird things when they are met with death. Like, it's going to happen right now. Some people do weird things. They'll do anything. It's that natural instinct, isn't it? It's like, I need to fight, fight or flight, that type of thing. But
right.
But that's the one that always just like, oh Jesus Christ. I mean, the pride one as well. Like, she'd rather kill herself than be ugly. It's like, it's like, you know what? There's a lot of people out there that would do that. It's like, I totally buy it. Totally buy someone with. There's definitely people out there who'd be like, my life is over. I might as well just kill myself. So, it's just, this movie's so fucking good.
It is a good movie though. Like, I'm just saying, like, my only thing is that lust scenario, because I figure that anybody with a brain would have I'm not saying fought him off, but would at least refuse to penetrate. Just be like, no.
And it's like,
you.
He could read the guy and knew he was an abject coward.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he was like, perfect. Because,
well, yeah, he certainly seemed to research the rest of them, so...
But the one
that's true. He did research quite a few of those victims. He knew it was up.
Because when he sprawls them off the list of them at the end, kind of like getting all high and mighty, like going, really, and a beast everything. Man, that kind of thing. Yeah,
that's a great scene as well, because he makes. I'm not saying he's right, but the way he's talking, like, you didn't give a shit about these people until I killed them. It's like these, like, when he's, especially the one with the obese man, he's like, that is the type of man you and your friends would be making fun of. It's like, why do you care now? It's like, it's like, there's a worrying degree of logic to that. I'm not saying there's logic, like, he's right in killing him, but just the way he's saying about how,
clearly.
about how he's basically saying these people were the dregs of society and were worthless to you, and like the spit on, like, basically the shit on your boot until I did this. Right? And now suddenly you care about the welfare of them, and it's like, yeah, he's kind of right. He's not wrong, but you shouldn't kill him, dude. But
right. I mean, it's kind of like what Morgan Freeman was saying, is that apathy is a solution.
Yeah.
But he also wasn't like happy with that being the solution.
Yeah.
But I run under the philosophy that there is no like easy 100% right answer to everything. A lot of times it's like, this is 1% more right than all the other wrong answers, even if that right answer is just 1%.
Yeah.
So you just do your best. Everyone just does their best, and if those people who like gluttony, if dude's just like shut in and his only joy is eating,
like,
who are we to judge? Who are we to judge him for what his pleasures are? I mean, because he has nothing else going on for him. And if I were to take care of, like, let's say I have two people looking at right now. If I were to take care of you and Matt, like, by myself, with what resources I have, you guys would both be a full-time job. I'm not saying you can't support yourself, but I'm just saying
cool.
like my resources can't be stretched too thin either.
I'm glad
so
that's
we all
the
do
sense
what we
you
can.
meant take care of, because I was wondering where you were going with this. It's like, if I had to take care of you guys, it's like, I'd string
kill
you
the
up
two
and
of
make
you.
you watch porn
I don't
for
have
10
enough
hours
money
while I
or
killed you.
time to fucking go do it. No, I meant like, if you guys just needed help medically or emotionally or whatever. I only have so much time in my life. I only have so much money in my wallet and that kind of stuff. And I would like to do what I can because I know you both and I care about you both, but I don't know or care about that person over there or the one over there or the one over there. And that's why I don't. But I can see it's still very human. It's very sociopathic for Kevin Spacey's character to judge people for not taking care of everyone, even though he himself wasn't taking care of anyone either. No. He wasn't improving. He was just like breaking the machine to force it to get fixed. But that won't even fix anything either. It's just going to add even more breaking to the human.
You've destroyed the machine.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Be like, oh no, my PS4 stopped working, and just like hitting it with an axe. That'll work. Work, you bastard.
That'll make people think something more about me.
I have to talk about the scene with Sloth. Because again, for some reason I'd forgotten it, even though it's such a great scene. It's great. The guy on the bed, he looks like a dummy. He looks like a prosthetic. He looks like they've made up like a dummy. And the moment he actually like jerks and like essentially screams or moans it's surprising. You know what? It's a jump scare that absolutely earned it. Because I think it was Rob Bottin that did the effects for this, who obviously did the effects for The Thing. So we already were in good hands, and the makeup job he did on the dude in the bed is just insane.
Well, the thing is, the movie's kind of conditioned you, I think, through a couple of bodies now to kind of go, oh, these are dead bodies, but they're not going to move. This isn't that kind of movie.
Yeah, that's true. Because there wasn't even like a violin or whatever. No. There wasn't like a build-up.
It just happens.
Or whatever. Yeah, it just happens, which is like the most frightening thing about being a coroner, I think. You know? He was like, oh, dead body, doing autopsy. It's alive, fuck!
Well, there's a reason I want to bring it up as well, not just because of the great effect job, but they've got a couple of SWAT officers in there with them, haven't they? Including Dr. Cox from Scrubs.
I thought that was him. He looked a lot like him.
Cox, yeah.
He's the guy who got scared.
Like a pretty good, like, angry SWAT leader guy.
Yeah. Well, funny story.
He has the fucking laser light shotgun.
Yeah.
Why do you need a laser light shot? The shotgun's gonna.
He's like so gun ho as well, and it's like I love the fact that Morgan Freeman, he all but says to Prep, he's like, "Let them have this moment." It's like,
this
is what they're.
This is just what they do. Yeah,
let them
swap
have
before
it.
dicks. Swap before dicks.
Yeah. But the scene where the Sloth, like, because I was calling him Sloth, like jerks upright and moans, and the look of absolute abject terror on Dr. Cox's face and the other extras as well was genuine. Because they weren't told that was a person.
Oh, that's
so I think that was an effect. They're like, oh, that effect looks great. So when he goes up, the look of fucking terror on their face was genuine, apparently.
God.
It's gonna be like, David Fincher's on set. Like, the rest of the crew, like, how they're not just standing there all just going, like, you'd have to just have, like, poker face on. Because you knew they had to all be excited for that moment to see the reaction. Because I know I would be. I'd have to be offset. Like, I have to be offset because I'll give it away.
Yeah, after you, like, if you're Dr. Cox in that room and that shit happens, how do you keep your cool and continue to pretend to be a SWAT guy? You know. They just drop the prop and run out of that scene.
Like, I was like beating him in the head with it.
Fuck.
Or how do you not just break character and go, you fucking bastards?
Yeah, beep, and go back and try it again.
Oh, I'm scared.
Boo.
Oh my god. I suppose we've gone through. Most of the sins.
Well, like the last two sins are at the same time, so you can't talk about either one without,
So, the funny story about the ending was, back when the film came out, my mum, wouldn't say she was her friend, but she was someone that she frequented, that she spoke to. It was like another mum that was that had a kid at the same school as me, at the same age as me, so they would often talk. This woman was not particularly bright, and like even as an 8-year-old, I realised this. So at the end, where Morgan, the great, the suspenseful moment where the box arrives and you want to know what's in the box, and Morgan Freeman opens the box, and his look of disgust and horror when he sees it, you instantly know it's something bad.
Yeah.
The way he looks at the box and then immediately looks over at Brad Pitt and is like, fuck. So we all know, obviously, spoilers, it turns out it's Gwyneth Paltrow's head, because, Jesus Christ, that's horrifying, but it's Gwyneth Paltrow's head, because Kevin Spacey's character, John Doe, he actually is called John Doe, realises he has become lust. So he kills her, and it's like, playing against your own rules there. He's like, because of lust, he kills her, which in turn
not lust,
leads Brad Pitt.
greed,
envy.
Envy. That's it. Yeah,
And envy. So envy, not lust. We already lust. Yeah, sorry. He becomes envy, even though I think him killing her is kind of going against his own rules.
I think it's an ends to a means. I think he's kind of justifying
because
his
he knows
envy. Yeah,
it will then lead to wrath, and Brad Pitt is the wrath. It's like, oh, he's so angry the whole film. It makes so much sense. Holy shit. And there's even a great line where Morgan Freeman says to him, he's like, I wish, like, you're showing your emotions too much. Like, he says something like that.
Yeah, I picked up on that line this time. I was like, that's really subtle foreshadowing.
Like, fuck. It's like, yeah, and because it happens, like, at a certain point as well. Because it's just after the chases. No, it's, after Sloth.
It was before the chase.
It's after Sloth.
I think it's...
Because it's the bit with the with John Doe takes the photos as the photographer. Because he really loses his shit. He's like, I fucking hate photographers. He's like, yeah. Then your emotions get you a bit there. But anyway, so obviously it's her head, and all the ending happens, and the movie is set over the course of 7 days, because one death per day.
Mm-hmm. The last 7 days of Morgan Freeman's police career as well.
Exactly. So there's
Somerset, that's his name.
Countdowns, and this woman turns around to my mum and was like, "What was it that was in the box? Was it the child?"
Oh.
And my mum was like, what do you mean? Well, because Brad Pitt's Gwyneth Paltrow, she was pregnant, wasn't she? And she's like, uh-huh. She went, is it the unborn child? No, it was her. It was clearly like her head.
He specifically
says something along the lines of, "I took a pretty little head." Something like that.
Yeah.
John
And
Doe
she's like,
said he took a souvenir and it was her head.
She's like, oh, but it could be, right? You've had a kid. Do you know how long it takes for something substantial to grow?
Like, we're talking like first month of pregnancy here. There would be like a very little box.
Yeah, she's quite flat still at that point, isn't she? In the tummy region. But yeah, she thought.
But you know what the post service is like in Amazon? They send things in boxes that are like 10 times the size they need to be.
It's like, just take something up. The fuck is this?
I actually thought it was a bit small for a box if you're putting your head in it, but that was just.
I suppose Gwyneth Paltrow is quite small, isn't she? But
let's judge her size. No.
Eat a sandwich.
This is a good segue, I think. And I'm not leaving the topic. I just wanted to throw this thing in here because I thought it was really cool, and I didn't actually get the joke a few times. Anyone here play Borderlands 2?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, in Borderlands 2, and most of the city area, the community hub, quest hub, whatever, there's boxes and chests and things you can open up to get ammo. Some of those boxes are little brown packing boxes, just like you'd get in the Post, just like in the movie 7. And sometimes, it's a very rare drop chance, you open the box, instead of ammo or money, it's a gun called Gwyneth's head.
Oh.
And then Handsome Jack. Yeah, and then Handsome Jack will come in on the radio and say, "What's in the box? What's in the box?"
Speaking of that, I bought the Spyro trilogy that they just re-released like in HD and all the nice fancy graphics. Bought it for Kitty as a Christmas present because she loves those games. And we were playing the third one, and one of the achievements was "What's in the box?" I was like, "What?" We played like a couple of days after 7 as well. It's like, but that was odd timing, wasn't it? Kids game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene at the end's just.
I mean, that is a killer ending.
So good.
Like, I knew it was coming, but just
Yeah.
seeing it again, I stopped playing Civ 6 long enough to watch it.
And the emotion's great. And it's the fact that he keeps asking what's in the box. He's like, come on, what's in the box?
Yeah.
He's like,
what's in the box?
Come on. He's like, please. He's like, please. I mean, you totally like buy into the fact that he's like, please, just fucking tell me. And it's the fact that no one says what's in the box. It's as soon as Morgan Freeman hits him that he knows. It's like, shit, he's done. Yeah, he is telling the truth. It's the minute he hits him, because he's been so cool and level-headed the whole movie. And it's like split second, like even when they're driving and Kevin Spacey is like waxing lyrical, and he's on all the Morgan Freeman's really calm.
Yeah, because
like,
he's
really
obviously trying to wind Mills up in that instant.
Yeah, he's
so
just like, oh, you really believe this? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not letting it get to him, but it's that one moment, and he's almost mocking Mills, and then Morgan Freeman fucking backhands him like a motherfucker. He shows him that pimp hand is strong, and and it's great because they don't outright say, oh, they don't show it, which is really
they don't show the head,
which is really good because you don't have to. You know it's in there. That's more horrifying anyway.
That's not the
than
point.
Effect. Yeah.
You know?
If they cut
that's
to a
also
shot,
like an extra couple of $1,000 on the budget. You don't have to.
Yeah,
fucking spend.
I mean, they could have, even if they just did it where she just was like they buried her in the ground and she stuck her head through a box. You don't need to see it. You know, don't need to see it. Just like,
bury her into the ground and put her head through a box, and she has to pretend like.
Put some blood in there. You just don't need to see it. That's because the fact he's done it and then put it in a box to send it and had it like delivered by mail van, like, you know, the delivery man. Like that's horrifying enough. You don't need to show it. And it's great. And then there's just that. Even after that, there's still the suspense of like, is he going to shoot him? Is he going to be able to get the gun off of him?
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to stop him from doing this? Because it's at that moment you realise, oh god, Mills is the last. He's wrath.
Yeah.
John Doe wants him to kill him so he can fulfill it. And he says to him, like, if you do it, he wins. This is exactly what he wants, and he wins. And he shoots him, and you know what, like.
It's beautiful acting in that moment as well. The way he kind of he looks away and he goes, he puts the gun up and he looks back at him and then he goes, it's just
because he's not aiming it the whole time going, oh no. He's just like
you can tell he's trying so hard to not do it.
Not do it, yeah. He's trying so hard, and you're with him, like, don't do it. But it makes sense. And
the way they did it is just like a single flash of, and it's funny because it's Brad Pitt, and it reminded me of Fight Club. You know, where Brad Pitt's character splices in pornography into kids' films. So there's like a split frame. It was funny. There was a split frame, and it was Gwyneth Paltrow, and I was like,
yeah.
And then he just goes, bam. That's his decision.
Bam, yeah.
I was like, it's so powerful.
Yeah, he thinks of her and he's like, fuck it, and just shoots him. And it's the fact that, you know what I like? He shoots him once in the head. And for good measure, bam, 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 fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just walks. He just walks. Oh, I'm done. He goes, well, it's almost like, yeah, I'm fucked. I feel better, though. And I really feel so bad for him. But they've got to take him away. And then there's that great moment with the chief, who's played by... I can't remember that's his name, but he's the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket.
He's a perfect.
That's where
chief,
I've seen him before.
He's great.
Yeah.
There's that great scene, like, obviously going way back in. There's a moment where they're all sat at like the regular tables, because I like the fact that he's like a police chief, but he's not like that. God damn it, Mills, you get that down my desk in 15 minutes, you know.
Yeah, or it's your badge.
Yeah, he's like there talking to them because he is a person. He is a character. He's a real person, and he's there because he would. He just like I totally believe like all the chief, you know, the higher ups, like they mingle the rest of them, because they fucking do. They're all in it together. And he's just milling with them. He's sat at someone else's desk, and he's talking to him. The phone rings, and it keeps ringing. He goes, "This isn't even my desk," and just puts the phone down.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
It's not even my desk. Puts the phone down.
Well,
But,
the person still needs to get through to whoever was at that desk, though. Just gonna call back.
so then he's like so angry. He's like, "This isn't my desk. Fuck off." But yeah, he says, like, right, and with Mills, he's like, "We'll take care of him." It's like, he's fucked. His career's over. He's going to jail. Cops going to jail. That ain't good.
Funnily enough, it was his last week of employment as well.
Lots of lasts. I know there was because obviously as I do a lot of time with this, because I'm always curious about like good trivia of movies. There's a lot of crap trivia on IMDb now, which is really rubbish and makes no sense. For example, I mean, just going to a tangent, finished the main plot line of Spider-Man on PS4, and I'm playing through the DLC at the moment. The main plot of Spider-Man was fucking brilliant, fantastic. It's like one of the best superhero games ever made. They managed to get all these characters in, and they're all believable. You care about them, even like the main villain at the end. And there's a great line at the end where MJ says to Peter, she goes, "Go get him, Tiger." And it's like, oh, it's a callback to the comics. That's what she used to say in the comics. I was looking at the trivia, and it's like, and it was a callback to Spider-Man 2, the movie. No, because that's what she says. Kirsten Dunst says that at the end of the movie. It was a callback to that. No, it wasn't. She always called him Tiger in the comics. That was what it was referencing. It was a nice little nod to the comics. But yes, I'm looking at the trivia for this, and they had a lot of trouble getting the final movie made because obviously the studio like, you can't have that ending. It's nihilistic. It's depressing. It's like, yeah, it's a grim, gruff, horrible movie.
Perfect for the tone and the setting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no. One of them, the producer rewrote the ending where Mills gets kidnapped and taken to a church, and you find out that John Doe was abused by a priest when he was a kid, and then Morgan Freeman has a shootout with him at the end, and Mills dies in his arms. It's like, fuck that. Apparently, Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and David Fincher all said, if you change the ending and don't let us do the proper ending, we do not make the movie. We will go. That's fucking massive. You use like two big stars and a big director. It's like,
you have to cancel the whole project.
So they tried to change it again. They're like, oh, how about if at the end it's one of the dogs' heads instead of Gwyneth Paltrow? And it's like, no, yeah, he loves his dogs. We get that, because the whole thing is he's basically he's like a puppy the whole movie, because he's like, I want to do good. I'm a good cop. I'm so good. And it's like, that's kind of a joke when he's talking about the kids and he's like playing with the dogs. And it's funny. It is funny. And it makes his character more lovable as well. But they're like, what about his dog's head? And it's like, I'd be pissed off if a guy killed my dog, but I'm more likely to shoot my motherfucker if he cuts my girlfriend's head off and puts it in a box.
It also completely goes against
and then tells me she was
Spacey's
pregnant.
MO in the film. It's like,
and exactly,
he's cruel to people.
Yeah,
I bet he didn't touch the fucking dogs.
No, I bet he didn't. And they're always locked away in a different room, aren't they? Because also, like, I'm more likely to kill a motherfucker I'd be devastated, obviously, because I fucking love animals, but if a motherfucker if I had two options, sorry, cuts off my dog's head, and he's like, now shoot me now, and they win. It's like, you're a cunt, I'll beat the shit out of you. I would kick the fuck out of him, but I'm not letting you win, fuck you. If he cuts my girlfriend's head off, and then tells me she was pregnant,
yeah,
I'm more likely to shoot him, motherfucker, okay? He's like, not only have you killed the love of my life, but you've killed my unborn child, like, that is fucking horrible. That's horrifying.
I think
I'm not saying a dog's life or an animal's life isn't worth more than human.
Go
but
on.
it's like a double whammy.
I think
a double whammy.
The thing is, right, that the right decision in that instance is to not shoot him. But I think if he'd done the right thing, like Morgan Freeman said, he would have spent every day of his life wishing he'd done the other thing. And it
goes back right to that.
It's indicative of the difference between Mills and, I think it's Somerset is Morgan Freeman's character name.
Yeah,
William
they're different.
Somerset.
Their different approaches is that, like, Mills is hot-headed, but he's got natural talent, and even though
he's good,
has been working for 5 years or whatever, he is still very much kind of like a rookie. He's more likely to do the emotional, hot-headed thing, and Morgan Freeman is more likely to do the quick-thinking, smart, intelligent thing to do. So I think that's why when Mills chased after him, he saw the opportunity of using him as Wrath because, he was young and hot-headed and stuff. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Is that in the reaction to being photographed as well? Like,
exactly.
He wasn't just like, get out of here. No pictures, please. He was like, get the fuck out of here. Fuck you.
Going. It's like, photographers, they do it all the time, dude. Chill.
Yeah, right. John Doe's like, I think I have a wrath on my hands.
Like, perfect. But yeah, it's yeah, you're right. So it's almost like the two characters are almost like the same person at different ends of
I definitely got a sense of
their life. So but there was also different ones that were scripted where Somerset's the one that shoots him. He's like, no, don't do it. Let me do it.
Oh yeah,
I'm retiring
I can take
anyway.
the hit for you
It's like-
because I'm
it's like-
retiring anyway.
And I'm like,
Murder is still murder.
yeah. It's like, but then,
Especially Somerset's case. Like if he murdered him, then it would be more like a cold killing as opposed to a killing of passion. I honestly think that Mills is going to get out of there. Like if they make a 7-2, which would be 14 or 9.
They're making sequels to everything else now, so don't give them ideas.
Then he would just be in court for a little while, and like the jury would be like, "What happened?
He did what?
Dude, let him walk."
And he can't be a police officer ever again. But
Yeah.
you're good, mate. Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
we get it, man. I do think a court would acquit him.
Yeah.
He did what? And then he mailed it. Not guilty.
Yeah, exactly.
Not
So
guilty.
Mills is like the best person to cap Doe in that case. I mean, having Somerset do it would just be like, why'd you do it, man?
Yeah, you're.
What did he ever do to you? You're a cop, protect and
Yeah.
serve.
I think it was I read an interview or something where it was I'm sure it was Brad Pitt who was like, no, Mills should do it because he's the one that's got so much raw emotion.
Yeah,
like it
fits.
makes sense. And I think if it was going to end with Somerset getting the gun away from him, John Doe would live because Somerset would be like, fuck him, he has to live in jail for the rest of his life knowing he failed, because that would truly be the only way they would win, and he would lose because he would be in jail. He didn't get all 7 done.
Nah.
He
John Doe
lost.
would just make another prisoner into Wrath, though.
That'd be 7-2. Or they'd call it like 14.
Yeah.
The week he came home, or something like that.
The week he came home. Yep. But I mean, because
7-2, 14.
like his sin was envy. John Doe's sin was envy. So he can't. I mean, he's already lost. He just isn't going to die from it unless somebody kills him, because I guess he doesn't have the gumption to do it himself, or he wants to do it in a way that anyway. So yeah, he wants to get Wrath to kill him. But if Mills didn't kill him, then either John Doe would do everything he could to keep like poking Mills specifically, like a Hannibal Lecter kind of way, or Silence of the Lambs.
That's a movie I want to see.
Have you seen
Why do you
it?
keep visiting me?
Oh yeah.
You keep coming here. Why?
Yeah.
One thing I literally just noticed while we were talking about it is that Kevin Spacey's John Doe gets that information about the wife from buying information from the police thing, and I've noticed that's the exact same thing they use to find his apartment, proving that it's purely apathetic. Like it could be used for good or evil.
So hey, you got the money?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Because he mocks them, doesn't he? Like kind of like gloats. It's like, well, you can get anything with by paying off someone. It's like, and because Morgan Freeman, he says that about the photographers as well, doesn't he? Fuck, he might have even heard that. That's the worst thing. He might have got that idea from Morgan Freeman, because he says it right after, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's like it's like photographers. They pay off cops all the time to get this information.
Okay, we need to bring it to a close, but
it's
so I want to say just one. I mean, this isn't really like a flaw, but John Doe as a character, the only thing that I don't like about the movie is that there is absolutely no way, there's no reasoning, or there's no heads up on where or how he gets his money, or where or how he got educated to that point. Because he basically you don't know anything about him. And he looks like he lives alone in that apartment where he does all of his processing and stuff, and he has money in a box. He just has money in a box. Now, that'd be fine, like, if he has money in a box for himself. Maybe he has, like, a trust fund or something like that. I don't know. But to also pay the rent and stuff for Sloth, to make sure he stays in bed and all that kind of stuff, and to move about and process, like, moving information from like the police to himself, or getting the cameras are expensive, by the way.
Especially
a good camera,
especially in the 90s.
A good camera like that was expensive. So I mean, like it's like the only slight flaw in the movie is that the character isn't really believable as a human as John Doe is. He's just like it's like Iron Man. You just have money, or Batman. You just have money. So because you have money, you can get all these cool tricks.
Well, it seems that there are
John
only two
Doe
real
has money.
options. One is that someone independently funded him somehow, or that he saved up money when he was trying to live real life and be a normal person. And when he decided to break from that, he must have saved up some cash or something.
Yeah, unless I don't know, he might have like inheritance. I don't know, or because I know he writes loads of books in his part. Maybe he's like an author. I don't know. I mean, because he changed his name anyway.
He's got a bunch of notebooks and he just has a bunch of money. But like that's the only thing. It's not even really a flaw because all it requires is an answer. Yeah,
so I'm just curious. That's
all it is.
So that money got
cards money. Yeah.
This is the question, though, isn't it? Is Kevin Spacey? Cards, is Kevin Spacey creepier in Seven, or is he creepier in real life?
What I would have said Seven
until
in
real life.
Literally 2 hours ago when Matt showed me this YouTube video he released over Christmas.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Chris?
Oh my god.
No, but it's in our Discord.
Yeah, I'll link it in the chat.
It's so
I would have said borderline in the movie until that.
It's like, I've been charged with sexual misconduct, so I'm going to make a movie in character as Frank Underwood, even though I've been kicked off of House of Cards, to say I'm innocent. It's like, timing!
Yeah.
Timing's weird.
Like, the only way that would work is if he was Kevin Spacey. You know? In a way that we have never seen him. You know, like when you see him not acting as a character he's been before. Yeah. Just being a guy. Not as in a character who is also an asshole, I guess. I didn't see House of Cards, so
no, I didn't either. It's never really interested me because the thing is, like, we were talking about it before you came on, and this thing's like, I don't know what he, I'm not here to pass judgment whether he's innocent or not, but usually when people are accused of feeding someone up or molesting them or raping them or anything, they usually say, fuck you, I didn't do it. Like, Dustin Hoffman's an example where someone accused him of, not rape, but sexual abuse, so something like that. And he basically said, that's not true, that is not in my character, I'd never do that. So he completely denied it, and I don't know where that's going. He could be fucking guilty for all I know. When Kevin Spacey was accused by another actor who's in Star Trek Discovery, he said something like, I quoted it earlier, but he said something like, no, well, I don't remember doing that, but if I did, I'm very sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable. And it's like, oh, what are you saying, man? He's like,
you did it or you didn't do it.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have any recollection of doing that, but if I was drunk and I made you feel uncomfortable or anything, then I do apologise. Like, okay, and then it came out that Gabriel Byrne was like, oh yeah, when we were making Usual Suspects, they had to shut down shooting for 2 days because he kept making advances towards a younger actor and it made him feel uncomfortable. Like, oh, like, so is Kevin Spacey the man creepy? I don't know anymore. He could be innocent. He could just be.
I guess it depends on the amount of notebooks Kevin Spacey has.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not saying he's guilty, because I can't say that, but it's just the way he's worded things, like, it's just a bit weird.
I've worded things weird though, and I know when I've done it and while I'm doing it, and I just can't stop my brain from doing it.
Well, no, he like that apology he posted on Twitter as well. It's like he had time to think about that.
Yeah,
I don't remember doing it, but if I did rape you, I'm sorry.
If I did rape you, I'm sorry.
It's very inappropriate of me.
Whoops! It must have been an accident. I meant to rape someone else.
I'd had a few. I was quite lit. I was doing my Christopher Walken impression again.
But the movie Seven, however, is pretty good. It gets a thumb.
Yes,
he's this one right
here.
It's like Yahtzee's always said: you can like someone's work even if they are a bastard. And if Kevin Spacey is a filthy sex pervert, then at least his acting's good. Like, you can still appreciate his acting. Yeah.
He is a great actor.
He is fantastic.
Like, I loved K-Pax. I loved Negotiator. I've loved everything I've ever seen Kevin Spacey in.
He's great. He's always good as well. I've never seen him in anything where I've just thought he was average. He's always really good. So, he's still a great actor, but he just should probably start like putting his hands away or something.
Yeah.
If it's true.
In the end, a crime is a crime, though. Regardless of how good your profession is. Like, you could be like the best surgeon, but you can't be a best surgeon and a pedophile.
You can't just go like, well, I mean, you're really good at open heart surgery, but you did diddle some kids. How many was it? Right. So
Yeah, give us the numbers so we can crunch them and see if you come out good.
12. How much surgery? So how long were the sessions with both? So you've done. So technically, you spent more time saving lives than diddling kids. So you're about 60-40%?
Yep, which would be enough to get you the good ending. So
it's like it's like what Dave Chappelle was saying about Bill Cosby. You know, because Bill Cosby did a lot of good for the black community, obviously in America, and in literacy and education. He's a great man, but he did rape.
I think I've heard that bit. Yeah, it's like the whole. I always love it when people do that a lot as well. Like you get like horrible people, and they go, they do good charity work. I'm like, so did Jimmy Savile, and we all know how that turned out. Like, just because you do something good doesn't mean you are inherently a good person.
It's like you kind of have to answer for everything. Like, if you do something good and you answer for it, I mean, great, because you're answering for doing something good. That means you're getting congratulations, probably. If you do something bad, you have to answer for that too. Either you do what you can to make it right, like if you hit somebody and then you say you're sorry afterwards, and maybe you buy them a drink. Yeah,
it's not like the karma meter in video games, like in Fallout or Fable. It's like, well, you just killed like 17 elderly people and 5 children, but you did take down that dragon. So,
or you put a lot of money in the church coffers.
Or Fable, you farted in front of me, so you can't be that bad.
Yeah. Shut.
Context is everything. You did save that child's life, but that's because you abducted them from a burning building.
That's because you abducted.
Look, I did all the kid right, but look, I saved him right. He's back. I mean, surely he just stares blankly at the wall now, and only reacts when you make loud noises, and by that I mean he just screams. But he's still breathing, right? He's alright.
Well, it's like this story I read about like a guy who kidnapped a young boy, and they had their relations or whatever, but the young boy grew up with the guy, and the guy kept giving him like whatever he wanted, like you wanted an Xbox, or you want to, like basically Christmas all the time. Jesus Christ. Like they just sort of lived together, and it was some sort of weird catch-22, like sort of give and take situation where it's like it wasn't really all that bad.
Yeah, it's like, he would, he would insert.
Is he a good guy or a bad guy though?
Yeah,
He's like, I just want to fuck a kid.
Oh my god!
If you let me do that, I'll buy you an Xbox.
He would force himself on me, but I did get an Xbox 360 out of it.
Okay, we're cutting.
We're cutting it. Okay.
Microsoft, sponsor us.
It's all Kevin Spacey's fault. What I'm saying.
Couldn't get any worse because your console shit. No.
Whose turn is it?
It's my turn.
Kevin Spacey's
turn. Good, because I had no idea what I was going to choose.
Yeah, I picked that COD game with Kevin Spacey in it.
Oh god, he's a villain in that as well.
Didn't they patch him out?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, they did.
I'm pretty sure they did.
With, like generic Mook.
They did replace him with someone, but I can't remember who it was.
They did that in the movie as well. They replaced all his scenes with Christopher Plummer instead. It's like that's the ultimate insult because Christopher Plummer's terrible. We can't out and got a worse actor. Oh, anyway, yes, sorry.
Well, so my choice is, and I've had loads of things that I wanted to pick, and I've got a list as long as my arm, so we'll never run out of choices from me. But every time I see something new or come into contact with something interesting, I think, oh, I need to pick that for the podcast. So I told Matt before Christmas that I definitely had a pick, and then I've changed it maybe 3 times since then. So the film that I'm picking for this week is a film that I saw over Christmas. It's on Netflix. It's a film called Ghost Stories. It came out a couple of years ago, I think, maybe even only 1 year ago.
Not the British one.
The British one, yeah.
I think it was last year. It came out last year. Yeah.
And I am not going to tell you anything about it. I don't want you to read anything about it. I just want you to watch it. I want your honest opinions after watching it blind, yeah.
I can go in blind.
Because I went in completely blind. It's one of those things where I think I saw half of a trailer once when it was coming out, and I thought, I'll go to the cinema and see that, and never got around to it. And it's got Martin Freeman in it, so I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Bilbo Baggins.
Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah. So we saw it on we saw that it was on Netflix, and we thought, we wanted to see that at the cinema. Let's watch it now. and it begins in a certain way, and you think very much, oh, this is going to be a certain type of film that I'm watching, and then something happens, and that's I might even have said too much at that point. I'm not going to say anymore.
Oh, okay. Right, I can go
just enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to watch it again, rather than go on my memory of the first time, so that I can, kind of look at it from a different perspective, let's say. And that's the movie for next time.
Okay, yeah, we're going blind.
Righteous.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I like ghost stories.
Until then, we all have various projects on the go, don't we? Chris, you have a new channel?
Eh. Don't worry about
Chris may have a new channel.
If it happens, I just don't see it happening. I was inspired to do something different, and it's just been long enough that I feel like it's just dead, so I'm not going to worry about it. So
fair enough. Matt, you said you might have a video be coming out.
Yes, it'll be out by the time this drops. But
yeah, it'll be months old by
the
time you see this.
Yes, it's a couple of fan made. One made from scratch for Resident Evil game, and the other is a mod of Resident Evil 2, so that should be out soon. We've also got a couple of movie reviews. I tried something a bit different, more quasi-professional movie reviews on Overlord and Neil Breen's Twisted Pair, because Neil Breen is Neil Breen, and it's a movie written, directed, produced, and starring Neil Breen. Starred in it twice because he plays two characters.
I've not seen any of his things, but I gather he is very much an auteur. That he has a style that is very much him.
He is the Breenius.
Yeah,
he is the Breenius. That's what I was saying. You should watch his movies.
No.
They are something else. They are an experience all their own.
Okay, well, there'll be links to that video below, and we're also going to play Resident Evil 2. We're probably going to be talking a lot about Resident Evil 2 next time, so
hopefully I'll have it finished by then.
It'll be one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to buy it, then in the minute it releases, I'm like, I'm going to buy it!
Oh, don't even start.
You get like the sudden urge to play it, like.
Well,
yeah, that's what happened with Doom. Man, when Doom came out again, I was like,
Christmas presents because I ordered the special edition, so I'm so looking forward to that. It's gonna be so.
Is that like
I
the
hope
box?
the game's good now.
Is it the box?
It's got a little Leon in it. It's got
the box.
It's got the
it's in the box.
The Spade
I wanted
key,
those
the
fucking
club
keys. I want those keys.
Yeah, man. It's totally not worth the money I spent on it. But
Is that what's in the box?
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
The
we get
thing,
it.
the
Non's
thing,
heads in
the
box.
thing.
Yeah.
Until next time, enjoy the podcast you just have. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Leave a review, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Thumbs.
This episode of Spoilers of the Damned was hosted by Axton10_61, Madcus Finch, and Garlips. To find out about us, as well as join the discussion on our Discord, check out all the links in the description below. Please feel free to leave a review or rate us on your podcast app of choice.